Host, Planet Earth, a serial in 6 parts by Anne Howell and Colin Cooper.
Very nice. All right, relax, lads.
All ready for the real thing.
Well, if it goes as well as the dummy run, we're going to make history, Harry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you can't wait for the launching.
I've seen him go up before, Nat. Pretty well routine now.
Yes, but this one... no, would you put those over there, please? I mean...
I've got to go to London to see Professor Tate. Nothing on your mind?
No?
Sure?
Oh, Harry, I know this baby like the back of my own hand. And we've got a good team.
I know, Nat. Professor Tate may have some message for you. Stay near the phone.
Oh, don't you worry. I shan't stray far today. It's funny they don't come up. You'd think they'd be keen, especially Ormskirk. Doesn't he want to see if his theory is going to work?
None of us will know until the preliminary orbiting is completed. He might as well stay in London till then.
Oh, the final medical report.
Any snags?
They're 100%. Oh, I wish I was going up too.
Personally, I don't envy them. Well, I'd better be off. Don't forget, stay near that phone.
Your pass, sir?
Here you are.
And yours, miss? Mr. Benson, Miss Stewart. Thank you, sir.
You're very quiet.
Hmm.
You look worried.
Aren't you? Well, aren't you?
Harry, I'm scared.
We'll be there soon.
Perhaps we're fools.
Perhaps.
If he knows already...
No, he'd have stopped it.
But Ormskirk...
Ormskirk's a big fish, but not big enough to swallow Tate.
I hope you're right. I wish I knew what it meant.
Scientists aren't concerned with meanings, only with knowledge, with facts.
Haven't you any
Oh, Claire,
idea?
these questions. Let's keep them for the old man. Bloomsbury. How long has this been a one-way street?
Over 2 years.
Oh, I'll never get used to it.
Harry, when you leave...
I'm not leaving.
I'm glad. I'd feel lost without you.
Since it was chiefly on your account that I applied for a transfer, I find that ironic.
Oh, Harry, I know how you feel, but... Oh, I don't know. They're all so dedicated.
So they should be.
You know what I mean. Goodness knows we scientists aren't always the most sociable of people, but there are times when, well, a rocket site can be a lonely place, especially for a woman.
For us, too.
I'm glad you changed your mind in spite of everything.
I didn't change it. They rejected my application. So I'll have to get used to seeing you around. They've made this a one-way street.
You said that before.
Did I?
Harry, are you all right?
What?
Are you all right? Are you all right?
Of course I'm all right.
Well, I thought...
Oh, for heaven's sake, Claire.
Sorry. I'm so edgy these days.
You work too hard. You talk about dedication, but you're as bad as any of them.
You don't think that I...
No, of course not. You know, the chap who eventually does marry you is going to have a rough time of it. Calculus for breakfast, the quantum theory for lunch, and a piping hot dish of spatial physics for dinner.
Sour grapes. And you've left out tea. What about the second law of thermodynamics? Warmed up from yesterday. Harry, look out.
What?
Well, that bus, you nearly...
I don't know what made me. Claire.
What is it? Oh, stop. Harry, stop the car.
I can't. No!
Editor. No, hold it for the late edition. And if you see Holland, tell him from me... Oh, forget it. He's just come in. What kept you?
Nowhere to park. My pay won't run to fines for obstruction.
What about the torso?
Nothing.
Nothing. I'm holding the front page for a story
just
from you.
listen a moment, will you, please? Simpson went. He'll be on his way back now. I'm on to something more interesting.
More interesting than torsos?
Road accidents.
Oh, I might have known. I suppose they're going up again.
Only in certain parts of the country.
Well?
There are 15 areas which show a significant increase in the accident rate. I've got reports from the leading insurance companies. Here.
Royal West Insurance, slight drop in claims for month ending... What's this, David? You said increases.
Well, they had a road safety week in Bristol. It upset the averages for a week or two. Then things went back to normal.
Meaning an increase?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Harrods Union, Phoebus, Star Alliance Universe, they all report an increase in claims.
Been on to the local authorities?
They're mostly minor accidents, not even big enough to reach the police courts.
If there's been a rise in minor accidents, there's been a rise in major accidents, too.
Mm-hmm. But not big enough to be noticed.
David, I'm not being skeptical, but surely there's nothing significant about this. Road accidents have been going up steadily for years.
Come over and look at this map. This is Stowmarket, 5 miles from a rocket site.
So?
Here's Burnley, where they make pressure gauges used in rockets. Walsall, where they have a plant for processing Ledgeroy.
What the devil's Ledgeroy?
A very light and very strong alloy.
Used in rockets?
How did you guess? All these places have had abnormally high accident rates in the last 6 months.
Oh, coincidence.
Maybe, but every one of these 15 areas contains at least one industry connected in some way with rockets.
Every one, eh?
Except Bloomsbury.
Oh, yes. Not a heavily industrialized area.
Bloomsbury goes one better. It's got an institute. The Institute of Stellar Research. It's also got the second highest road accident rate.
Who's got the highest?
Stowmarket, where the actual rocket site is. Can I follow it up?
Yes. Follow it up. We'll never be able to print a damn thing, but follow it up.
Now then, so what have we got here?
Thank goodness you've come. Is he all right?
Oh, just give us time, miss. Yeah, well, he's breathing. Doesn't seem too bad. We'll soon have him in hospital. They'll sort him out. Right, now, easy now. Easy.
What happened?
Oh, don't bother us now, mate.
Was it an accident?
Look, there's a copper over there. You ask him. We've got our hands full. Mind them steps, Bob.
Right. Didn't happen to witness it, did you, sir?
No, I didn't.
Pity, we never get enough witnesses.
What happened?
Oh, car out of control, hit a lamppost. They're lucky to be alive.
The steering failed?
We don't know yet. Looked all right to me.
People in it, who were they?
Could you be a relative?
Well, I could be, yes.
Harold Benson appeared to be driving. Claire Stewart was the passenger. Luckier than he was, not a scratch on her.
There must be a reason. Got to be a reason.
Oh, it happens every day. Motorists, they're stark mad. Stark raving mad, the lot of them. Not fit to push prams, let alone drive a lethal weapon like a car. Oh, no offense, like, if you're a relative.
What do they do? What's their occupation?
Scientists of some sort. But if you're not related to either of them...
Scientists.
What you might call the intellectual type. They're often the worst, absent-minded. Of course, they could have been working too hard, mental fatigue or something, but... Hey, you can't follow them in there.
Harry. Harry.
Are you Miss Stewart?
Yes, who are you?
I'd like you to tell me what happened.
Are you a doctor?
Not exactly.
You're not police?
Let's just say that I have an interest in accidents, especially when they involve scientists.
What do you mean?
Did something happen to this man before the accident?
You've no right to ask these questions. The doctor...
He's trying to say something.
Tape. Got it. Claire, tape.
Tape?
It's all right, Harry. You're safe.
Got to tell tape.
You a relative?
No.
If you're the press, I must ask you to leave.
There's a very good reason why
I can't think of one, and I'm sure that you can't. Now, would you please go?
I only want to know what's wrong with him.
Suspected concussion, contusions, Possibly a fractured collarbone and maybe 1 or 2 cracked ribs into the bargain. Satisfied?
Why did it happen?
Don't waste my time, man. Go and ask the police.
If you want my opinion...
I don't think anyone wants your opinion. Now, will you please go away? I'm very busy and you're upsetting my patient.
Tate. Professor Tate must get... Professor Tate.
Accident? Should this interest me?
Yes, Professor Tate. It involved 2 scientists.
Indeed.
Their names are Claire Stewart and Harold Benson.
Oh, I didn't know. How are they?
Miss Stewart was unhurt. Benson may have concussion, according to the hospital.
I'm very sorry to hear it. What is your interest in the matter?
I'm investigating road accidents in certain areas.
And how did this particular accident happen?
No one knows. The car just went out of control.
Benson's driving was never in the highest class, I seem to remember.
Did I say he was driving?
I naturally assumed.
Professor Tate, I'd like to ask this question. Are all scientists bad drivers?
What do you mean?
Well, I've been looking at some figures. The accident rate among scientists is 3 times the national average. Isn't that rather high?
Oh, you can read many things into statistics.
I'll tell you what I read into them. Something's making these accidents happen.
Any profession involving a high pressure of work would probably reveal the same sort of picture.
Last week, a man, scientist, died in an isolation hospital.
Indeed.
He, too, had a car accident. He, too, was taken to a general hospital. But while still unconscious, he was transferred to an isolation hospital, where he died.
How did you know that?
I came across it.
I hope you aren't going to publish it.
Any reason why I shouldn't?
Mr. Holland, you obviously know more about this affair than I had suspected. I'm going to tell you something in the strictest confidence. Will you respect that confidence?
Of course.
Well, then. For some time, a mysterious illness has been attacking our people. Not all of them, but some. Too many. It strikes very suddenly, without warning. Recovery is usually complete and takes place within a few minutes. Unfortunately, some cases, like Benson's, take longer.
And some don't recover at all.
We don't think it's infectious, and it's certainly not radiation. We're working on the theory that some unidentified toxin is affecting an enzyme in the brain.
According to my information, this began 6 months ago. And it only involves people working on space projects. What's the connection?
I've told you all I know.
Then can I consider myself free to speculate on the dangers of rocket research? In print?
You put me in an impossible position. Very well, I'll be frank with you. 6 months ago, an important discovery was made, one that concerned rockets, a revolutionary discovery. I must ask you to make no mention of this to anyone. I cannot overstress the importance of maintaining secrecy for the time being.
6 months ago.
Coinciding with the beginning of the sickness.
So there is a connection.
It would seem so.
But what?
Mr. Holland, if you're able to find a reason, however far-fetched, however improbable, for goodness sake, let us know.
Sedative, I think, sister. He's very restless. Phenobarb, 200 milligrams. Yes, we'll see if that does the trick. You know, you should rest, Miss Stewart.
I must stay with him.
Don't you think it would be better...
Please, Doctor.
Very well. But you may not be helping him as much as you think.
He's going to be all right, isn't he?
Yes. The X-ray shows there's nothing broken. Bruises are only superficial. It's only a question of keeping a constant vigil over him for risk of concussion. Bar the injuries, he's in fine physical condition. Reflexes, pulse, blood pressure, and respiration virtually normal. Well, we always have to watch for concussion and delayed shock. Tell me, was he perhaps a little agitated, nervous before the crash?
No, I don't think so.
Never mind. I just thought he might have had something worrying him. Here's Nurse with the tools. Would you rather not stay while I inject?
I must.
I wish some of our students would show such resolution. Roll up his sleeve, sister.
No.
Now, take it easy, old man. This will make you sleep.
Harry.
It's all right, Miss Stewart. We're not going to hurt you.
But he pulled his arm away. He doesn't want to.
It's only a routine injection.
All right, sister. We'll try again.
No, don't.
It's only an injection, Harry, to help you relax.
Hold him, sister.
I'm trying to.
Right.
No.
Good. He'll rest now. I wish you would too, Miss Stewart.
Dr. Edwards.
What?
His arm. Look at his arm.
Oh, my God.
Is it leakage?
It can't be.
I've never seen a reaction like that before. Have you, Doctor?
Yes, it looks it's a bite.
Bite.
Yeah. What do you think, Rathbone?
If we switched on the secondary circuit,
Think so?
we could try it.
Mm-hmm.
Ormskirk, there's been another accident.
Oh, well, Rathbone, that test we did yesterday, I'd like to run it again without the expansion factor.
Did you hear what I said? Two of our best...
Hello, Tate.
Ormskirk, this has got to stop.
My dear fellow, do you ever feel tired, nervy, irritable?
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Of course you do. We all do. But you don't blame it on the atom bomb. So why should you blame these accidents on my rocket?
That's an entirely false analogy, and you know it.
My dear Tate, if you can prove a connection, I'll gladly agree to an inquiry.
But how can I prove anything until we have an inquiry? That's what inquiries are for.
Well, you're a biochemist. Why don't you look into it yourself?
I have. Whatever it is, it's not organic.
It's not my department.
Ormskirk, I appeal to you. Hold things up until we can investigate.
Quite impossible.
You must.
We can't, Professor Tate. There is another rocket leaving today.
Today.
Uh-huh. The countdown has already begun.
Why wasn't I told?
Weren't you?
You know damn well I wasn't.
Oh, well, we didn't want to alarm you. You see, this one's manned.
Manned? I don't believe you. Is this true, Rathbone?
An interstellar space probe is leaving today. It contains 2 men.
But you're not ready. You're not...
It's now or never. We could go on sending up unmanned ships indefinitely and still not know all we want to know.
You must be absolutely crazy.
Is progress crazy? Is that what you think? You want to halt progress? You're scared, Tate. Too scared to take a step forward. One tiny step into the unknown. Tell me any advance in science that wasn't. You can't.
Well, that's not the point.
I've made a discovery. I think it's important. What do you want me to do with it? Lock it up until the Russians or the Americans or the Chinese or the Eskimos get hold of it? I didn't invent the shoot theory. It was there, waiting to be discovered. I was only the first. Other people will discover it. It's inevitable. And they may not have the same scruples. What are you going to tell the world then? That we knew all the time? We're going to tell them that. We knew it, but we were too scared to make use of it.
Ormskirk, you're a brilliant man. I'm not disputing it. You've bridged a gulf in progress which might have been a gulf of centuries. You've done it in a few years, and you've done it alone. Rathbone, do you have a full grasp of the shoot theory?
Well,
No, of course you don't. You only know the aspects which are relevant to your work, and the same applies to the others. Isn't that so, Ormskirk?
I suppose so. Only I know the theory in its entirety, so only I can put it into practice with any hope of success.
There you are. Even your right-hand man doesn't know it all. Is it likely there's another man in the world today capable of making the same discovery?
There's always a possibility.
You're racing against yourself, Ormskirk.
Very well. But consider this. If I die before I've completed my work, proved my rockets, transmitted my knowledge, progress may be held back for years. I will not take that risk.
Then I will. You might as well know that I intend to force an inquiry.
I'm no longer a young man, Tate. The shoot theory represents my life's work. I won't be deprived of the ultimate satisfaction. Theory put into practice.
I'm sorry, Ormskirk, for your sake, but I must try.
You'll make a fool of yourself.
Believe me, I hope so. I hope with all my heart that you're right and I'm wrong. Yes, I suppose I must. Yes. Get me the Home Office as quickly as possible, please.
I haven't got an outside line at the moment, sir. Should I call you back?
I'll wait.
I won't keep you long.
No. No.
Putting you through now, Professor Tate.
Home Office. Home Office. Are you there, caller? Caller, can you hear me?
Can't you do something for him, sister?
We're doing all we can.
He's so restless.
That last sedative should take effect soon. It's slower orally, but we don't want to inject again. You're only upsetting yourself by staying here. Why don't you go and rest?
I'm all right.
There's such a thing as delayed shock, you know.
Dr. Edwards said that I could stay.
No doubt he had his reasons. But I must ask you not to upset the patient.
Upset him? I'm helping him.
You'll help most by keeping calm yourself.
I want him to feel that I'm staying beside him. I want him to know that he's safe.
Safe? We're not going to hurt him.
No.
Hadn't you better get Dr. Edwards?
Dr. Edwards has been on continuous duty for 10 hours.
This restlessness, it worries me.
The patient has been given an adequate sedative.
But look at him.
Miss Stewart, I have a ward full of other patients to look after, and many of them are suffering far more.
This is more than it seems.
You must allow us to be the best judge of that.
Oh, what's the use of talking? You won't even listen.
Very well. I'll go and find Dr. Edwards.
Damn the girl. I was just going off duty.
You gave her permission to stay.
Wish to God I hadn't. What does she want?
She wants to see you. She's not satisfied with anything I tell her.
Sister, I'm dead beat. Can't you tell her we're doing all we can? Surely you know what to say to people in these circumstances.
If I had my way, she wouldn't be there at all.
Well, you'll have to make her understand. I suspect a disturbed mental state beforehand. It may take weeks.
I'd rather you spoke to her yourself, Doctor.
All right, I'll come along.
The sedative hasn't had any effect whatever.
Yes, it's a bit of a problem not being able to inject. Come in. Oh, it's you again.
Any chance of seeing Harold Benson?
Visiting hours are over.
I'm sorry to be a nuisance. It's very important.
His condition is unchanged. I've nothing to add.
Give me a break, Doc. There's something I don't understand. I only want a little information.
I don't see why I should be expected to provide it, even if I had it.
It's not for publication.
I've heard that one before.
For one thing, we don't know enough to run a story. For another, there's the Official Secrets Act.
Sister, I may decide to increase the sedation when I've seen him. Will you go along and prepare? I'll come as soon as I've satisfied Mr.
Holland.
Yes, Doctor.
Well, there's very little I can tell you, Mr. Holland. On the face of it, his injuries are straightforward enough, but yes, there are one or two aspects of the case that seem unusual. Well, quite frankly, at this stage, I'd rather not commit myself.
Suppose I told you that the accident was directly concerned with Benson's scientific work.
I'd already thought of that. I telephoned his employers. They assured me there could be no such possibility.
Well, they're wrong.
I've no reason to doubt their statement.
Doctor, you must take my word for it.
I don't know what to say.
What does the girl know about it?
Yes, I can't decide. She's not married to him, not even engaged, yet she won't leave his bedside, not for a moment. That has some significance. I have a feeling that she's afraid of something. Exactly what, I've no idea. I don't think she knows herself.
Doctor, will you come quickly, please?
Benson?
Yes, I don't quite know what to make of it.
Can I come with you?
I don't think any useful purpose.
Haven't I convinced you yet?
All right, come along.
Harry. It's all right. Oh, thank goodness you've come.
Oh, well...
What are you trying to tell us?
If you don't mind, Mr. Holland. Pulse. Very much what we might expect. Eyes, all right?
Yeah. Can you hear?
Hear what, Harry?
Listen. Claire.
I'm here, Harry.
Claire, listen. Must listen.
Take it easy, old boy.
They've got... Tate, they've got...
He's unconscious. I want constant supervision, sister. Be ready to catheterize him. If he's not round soon, you'll have to start intravenous feeding in spite of that reaction. We'll give him an antihistamine at the same time.
I must find a telephone, quickly.
Out here. Come on here. All right, go on. Ah, here it is.
Oh, thank you. It is rather private.
I was with Professor Tate an hour ago.
I don't quite know where you come into this.
Let me explain later.
Stella Research, Bloomsbury.
Extension 51, please. This is Claire Stewart. It's very urgent.
One moment, please.
I'm so afraid that
You're
it...
through now.
Professor Tate?
This is Ormskirk.
Oh, Professor Ormskirk. It's Claire Stewart. I wanted Professor Tate. Could you transfer me, please?
I'm sorry, my dear. Professor Tate is dead.
Oh, no.
I'm afraid so. He died in his office 10 minutes ago.
Oh. No. He's...
Yes. I heard.
But why?
17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12...
Keep your fingers crossed.
11, 10, 9, 8...
No hitches. We're going to get them up there.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift off.
Host Planet Earth was written by Anne Howell and Colin Cooper and produced by Nestor Payne. Electronic sound and music was created by the BBC Radiophonic Workshop.
The cast is as follows. Harold Benson was played by Ian Thompson, Claire Stewart, Brenda Bruce, Professor Tate, Rolf Lefevre, Professor Ormskirk, Clive Morton, David Holland, Alexander John, Rathbone, Timothy Bateson, Dr. Edwards, Heron Carvick, Sister, Beth Boyd, Nat Blackley, Nigel Anthony, Editor, Anthony Vickers, and Policeman, Preston Lockwood.
Host, Planet Earth, a serial in 6 parts by Anne Howell and Colin Cooper.
That's Tate neatly packed off.
I thought it was rather impressive, in a way.
Forgetting that any mystery surrounding his death has been nicely covered up and then carefully smoothed over with a suitably decorous funeral service.
I know, David. It was the ceremony of it, I suppose, the sheer power of ritual.
Maybe poor old Professor Tate is going to be raised incorruptible. But we've got to find out what corruption was kicking around when he died. Is that Mrs. Tate over there?
Yes. I don't know how she got through the service. She looked so sad and shocked.
Try to have a word with her. Tate may have told us something.
David, not now.
I know it's hard, but my guess is that she'll want to talk to people like us.
Very well. I'll see you at the gate. Mrs. Tate, I'm Claire Stewart. We met once before.
Oh, yes.
I used to work with your husband. I can't tell you how sorry I am.
They all say that.
But I really mean it, more than you realize. I knew him very well. He was a great man.
I remember you now. He often talked of your work.
Everyone liked your husband, Mrs. Tate.
Everyone?
And his achievements.
Achievements, oh, yes. We've just been told that, haven't we? A nice little biography. Only the suitable things, of course. Neatly parcelled up and neatly delivered to a congregation of hypocrites.
I'm sorry. I don't want to intrude any further, but a friend of mine has just spoken almost the same words, and we want to try and help.
No, it's I who should apologize. Forgive me, my dear. It isn't you. Did you mean what you said just now about helping?
Yes, Mrs. Tate. Very seriously.
Perhaps you could come and see me this evening, could you? I shall be alone. In fact, I shall usually be alone now. We had very few friends, real friends. And there were no children, you see.
My dear Mrs. Tate, I am so sorry. Your husband was one of my closest colleagues. We all admired him tremendously.
Thank you, Professor Ormskirk.
It's impossible to estimate the loss to the world of science.
It is a little late to say that.
I beg your pardon?
You killed him, Professor Ormskirk. You and your scientific developments. You talk about a loss to the world of science, but what do you care about human beings? What does flesh and blood matter to you as long as you can fire off your little rockets into space in the name of science? What are you doing in this church, Professor Ormskirk? Science is your god, and it will kill you too one day. Surely it has killed my husband.
When did you get this, Mrs. Tate?
I found it in his study. It's not something he'd leave lying around at the Stellar Research Institute.
May I see?
Yes.
I dare say you think I'm just an hysterical old woman after that outburst. In church, too. I couldn't help it. You see, I know there's something wrong. I know it wasn't a natural death.
Benson's name's been added in pencil.
Do you know him?
He's in hospital. He had a road accident shortly before your husband died. Miss Stewart was in the car.
Yes, I heard. He's lucky to be alive. Many of the people on that list are dead, Mr. Holland, and no one knows why. And if they do, they aren't saved.
I knew, of course, that your husband was concerned at the high rate of sickness among scientists.
Concerned? It was more than concern, my dear. It's been preying on his mind for months, and now this.
I know how you must feel.
Do you? Does anyone? If I were a scientist, if I were in your place, I'd get out. I don't know exactly what you're doing with those rockets. My husband never told me very much, but I do know that no good will come of it. Go before it's too late, my dear. Do something else.
Mrs. Tate, forgive me for asking this, but the coroner's findings...
Yes, Mr. Holland. Cardiac failure, natural causes. But I know there was nothing wrong with my husband's heart beyond the fact that it was 65 years old.
But are you sure? I mean, these things do happen.
We were married over 40 years ago. When two people live together for that length of time, they learn about each other almost everything that is to be learned. That's not all. I saw him, you know, after it happened. I had to go and identify him. Mr. Holland, there was a mark on his neck.
A mark?
On the right side, just below the ear. When I pointed it out, they told me it was probably a small cut made while shaving. It didn't look like that to me.
What did it look like?
A bite, Mr. Holland. A bite.
But how could it be a bite?
Don't ask me. You're the scientist. All I know is that the mark on Benson looked like a bite. A large, swollen mark that could have been made by an insect or a small animal.
Talk sense, David. Benson was having an injection in hospital, and Professor Tate was making a phone call in his office. What could possibly have bitten them? No, it must be something to do with the fuel. Some toxic reaction we hadn't anticipated.
Don't you test things like fuel beforehand?
Oh, for short-term effect, yes. Not for long-term. That takes time. Too much time.
And, of course, Professor Ormskirk's in a hurry, isn't he?
Every reasonable precaution was taken. All the same, it could be that. Some accumulation building up in the system undetected until suddenly this happens.
He said Tate.
What?
Benson. Remember? He said they've got Tate before he collapsed. It doesn't seem to fit in with fuel poisoning. And the medical men can't seem to see beyond some sort of nervous crisis triggered off by his accident. Whereas I...
Yes?
Oh, I don't know, Claire. I don't know. It's clear from what Benson said that there's an element of telepathy.
Telepathy?
I can't think of another word for it, can you?
But it's so...
Oh, I know. Extrasensory perception, all that. You're quite right to be skeptical. I am myself. If we heard him say it, what are we to think?
Toxins are a fact.
So is ESP to some people.
Not to me, David.
Want another drink?
No, thanks. 2 days before I left Stowmarket, one of the porters collapsed after walking through the fuel laboratory.
What does that prove?
Nothing in itself. But everyone who's been affected, as far as I know, has had some contact with the rocket fuel.
What's his name?
Johnson. Peter Johnson, a West Indian.
No, he's not on Tate's list.
He should be.
Well, he's not. Have a look. Sure you got the name, right?
Of course I am. Suppose the information had been deliberately kept from Tate.
Who would do that? Ormskirk?
David, I don't know.
Well, we better try and find out what happened to Peter Johnson.
At Stowmarket?
Why not?
I'll try the personnel office first. They keep a record of everything that happens to the staff, even toothache.
I'm coming too.
They won't let you in without a pass.
Not even with you to hold my hand?
Even Professor Ormskirk has to show his pass.
How far to go now?
About half a mile. What are you doing?
Do they search cars?
Oh, no. They check the passes and then wave you through if the passes are in order. Why?
If they don't see me, they won't know I haven't got a pass, will they?
I suppose you could hide in the boot.
Can you drive?
Yes.
Good. You can lock me in the boot. If the guards want to open it, say you've only hired or borrowed the car and you haven't got a key, okay?
Yes.
Sure you want to go through with it?
I haven't forgotten why we're doing this. It's not only Harry Benson and Professor Tate. It's not just those two men up there orbiting in Ormskirk's latest rocket. Well, there is something wrong, isn't there, David? So we've got to go through with it.
Here's the key. Don't lose it or I'll be in real trouble.
Evening, Miss Stewart. May I see your pass, please?
Good evening.
Spot of overtime?
Unpaid, I'm afraid.
Well, I dare say you find the work interesting for its own sake, miss.
Oh, yes, I do.
Thank you, Miss Stewart. All in order.
Thank you.
Is that a new car, miss?
Yes.
I thought I hadn't seen it before. Good cars they are. All right for touring abroad if you like that sort of thing. Plenty of room in the boot.
Yes, there is. Well, excuse me, I must be going.
Of course, miss. Good night, miss. Oh, won't last long if she treats it like that.
That's better. A lot of chat in the gate, wasn't there?
I couldn't help it. He would go on.
Plenty of room in the boot, eh? He wants to try it sometime. Well, we got through. So much for checks. Here's the personnel office.
Over here. It'll be empty. The clerical staff never work late.
Now, wait a moment. We want the torch and a screwdriver, I think, might come in useful.
Oh, we better get inside before the security patrol comes along.
Okay, lead the way.
Well, that seems to be it.
3 filing cabinets and not a Johnson amongst
Well,
them.
there must be something.
What's in here? 1 desk only. Personnel officer himself.
Herself, it's a woman.
Perhaps she keeps a secret file. Not much in this drawer. Rubber bands, box of paper clips.
If it's a secret file, you won't find it in unlocked drawers.
I know. There might be a key. Oh, this drawer's locked. Take the torch.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Force it open with luck.
Oh, try not to damage it.
This isn't the time to worry about a few shillings worth of damage to government property.
Can't you do it a bit more quietly?
I don't think so. It's pretty tough wood. Can't you hold the torch still?
I'm doing my best.
Sorry, a bit on edge. It's coming, I think.
What? I thought I had the patrol.
Turn the torch off. Keep quiet.
They've gone.
Come on, let's have some light. One more twist and... Got it. More rubber bands. Letters.
Is that all?
Let's see. Employment exchange. Gladys Wills applying for a job as a shorthand typist. Shorthand speed 60 WPM. Is that good?
Oh, David, don't waste time. I'm so afraid someone will find us here.
What will they do to us?
I don't know. I used to feel so secure in this job, but since Harry collapsed and all the others, I've got the feeling that anything could happen. Something horrible is happening, and it's got me scared, David. I've never been so scared in my life.
Hold on, I've got it. Look at this card. Johnson Peter, General Porter. Born Trinidad, 5/7/1941. Commenced work... listen to this, Claire. Transferred Springhurst. Authority PJO.
PJO? That's Ormskirk. He must have given the order.
He must have kept the information from Tate. But where and what is Springhurst?
Name of a village? A town?
Or a hospital?
There should be a directory somewhere.
This card should be in the card index in the other office. Someone wanted it kept out of the way. Ormskirk, I suppose. But why was he so anxious that Tate shouldn't know about it?
Here you are. Local phone directory.
Yes. Springer, Springfield's Garage, Springhurst, Mrs. G.E. Hello, what's this? Springhurst Mental Hospital near Lavenham.
Well, it's not far from here.
A mental hospital?
I told you, it's an illness that affects people in different ways.
We'll go there tomorrow. Now, let's get out of here. Nice-looking house.
Oh, I hate these places.
But it's so pleasant. Trees, birds, so restful. What more could anyone want?
To be cured.
Revolving door, too. Touch of luxury about this place. I wonder who's paying.
Good morning. Can I help you?
Good morning. We'd like to see Mr. Peter Johnson.
I'm afraid if you're not relatives...
Oh, but we are.
We're friends. Close friends.
I'll tell Dr. Harris. Will you take a seat, please?
Phew. I slept up there. I forgot Johnson was a West Indian.
What are we going to tell him?
And Dr. Harris?
If he sees us.
He'll see us.
How do you know?
I would if I were in his place. The point is, will he let us see Johnson?
Believe me, I'm not unsympathetic, but I'm afraid it's out of the question. Quite out of the question.
We've come a long way, Dr. Harris.
I wish you'd taken the precaution of telephoning beforehand, as you'd have saved yourselves the journey. I'm sorry, Mr. Holland, but it's our rule that only relatives may be allowed to visit patients unless the circumstances demand otherwise.
Peter hasn't any relatives to visit him.
Oh? I understood there was a brother.
Has he been here?
As it happens, no.
In that case...
I'm sorry, Mr. Holland. You've not convinced me that the circumstances are in any way exceptional. I'm afraid you can't see it.
Dr. Harris, we've come from the Institute of Stellar Research. It is vitally important that we see Peter Johnson.
My dear young lady, why didn't you say so before? Did Ormskirk send you, Professor Ormskirk?
Some more research has to be done.
Oh, quite. Though there's nothing new to report, I'm afraid. His condition is unchanged.
Unchanged?
There's been no improvement.
I see.
I don't know what you people are playing at over there, but the patient's condition is entirely beyond comprehension. To me, at any rate.
Do you think the fuel toxicity...
No, out of the question. I hoped you might be going to suggest something new. Johnson was never in the fuel laboratory. Sonic vibration, maybe.
Dr. Harris, we do have a theory, perhaps not so far from what you've just mentioned. We can't say more at present, but we must see the patient.
This secrecy. I know it's an important government project, top secret and so forth, so I mustn't ask too many questions, must I? All right, never mind. Yes, you can see the patient if you think you've got a solution to the mystery. There's obviously not much we can do for this poor chap at present, bar give him the best possible care and attention, the very best. Well, you'd better come with me.
Peter Johnson.
Do you think he can hear us?
As you see, he doesn't appear to be unconscious. His eyes are open, he seems wide awake, but he doesn't respond to any normal stimulus. An advanced catatonic condition so far unexplained.
Peter Johnson, can you hear me? Peter Johnson.
You see, not a flicker.
Let me try.
I cannot permit any further disturbances. You've seen him, and you know that his condition has shown no improvement. I think we'd better leave it at that.
But we've got to know more.
I can only say I share your desire for enlightenment, Mr. Holland. There are so many things about this case for which it's impossible to find any rational explanation. The EEG, that is the encephalograph tracings, for example, I'd give 10 years of my life to know what they mean. You've seen them, no doubt.
Well, we didn't, at least...
Professor Ormskirk certainly received them. He sent an acknowledgement. You have come from Professor Ormskirk, haven't you?
What did you make of the tracings, Doctor?
I'm really not qualified to give an opinion.
What was the opinion of your experts, then?
If Ormskirk sent you, you ought to know. The EEG tracings have gone to your institute. They were accompanied by a report which made the position as clear as we were able. Did Ormskirk send you? I must say it seems highly irregular. I had no notification that you were coming, not a word.
Isn't it also irregular to send EEG tracings to anyone who happens to ask for them?
Who are you? I don't believe you're from the institute. Who are you?
Dr. Harris, this is my security pass card. I'm one of Professor Ormskirk's chief assistants.
Oh.
Now, please tell us just one more thing. After all, you're a doctor. You certainly care more about your patient's well-being than politics between physicists. Professor Ormskirk's a very busy man. He doesn't always follow every single problem. Oh, it's difficult to explain. I'm getting confused, but I know you care for Johnson's welfare, and so do we. Dr. Harris, please, can you tell us, has Johnson said anything whilst he's been here?
Well, that's a harmless question. Not much, no. Certainly nothing that has any meaning we could discover.
What did he say?
A single word, no more. It's here in the case notes. Here we are. Patient uttered the word Tate several times.
Tate?
Can you tell us when he said it?
Certainly. It was the 17th of this month.
At 4:35 p.m.?
How did you know?
I put two and two together. Now, can we go back to those tracings?
I've made my position clear. If you want to know any more, you must ask Professor Ormskirk. The matter's been taken out of my hands.
By non-medical people?
I prefer not to discuss that. There's nothing more I can tell you that I haven't already told the infant.
Sick West Indian in a mental hospital. A dead professor of biochemistry. And Harry Benson.
And something that connects all three.
Still think it's the fuel?
Not now. It's the element of...
Say it, Claire. Telepathy.
Oh, I wish I understood.
Why was he so cagey about the encephalograph tracings? It was more than professional caution. There's something very odd about the state of Johnson's mind. We'll never get those tracings out of Ormskirk.
David, I've got an idea.
I could do with a few.
What about Harry Benson?
Oh, what about him? Oh, of course. Get his EEG.
But would they allow it?
You'd have to repeat your famous performance.
What performance?
Getting round the medical profession.
Oh, that.
I've got a feeling it's not going to be so easy this time.
We've got to try, David. We haven't a hope of getting hold of Peter Johnson's tracing, so it's our only chance.
What do you think it's going to tell us?
I can't imagine. Can you?
Shall we go straight there?
Why not?
And if he says no?
He's got to say yes. He's got to.
No, I daren't risk it.
But even I know that an EEG is harmless.
I agree. But at this stage it can serve no useful purpose, and I don't want him moved.
But this is vital, and it may help him, even if only indirectly.
Miss Stewart, I'd like to cooperate with you. But in Benson's present condition, indirect help isn't enough. It's difficult enough to help him directly. Keeping him sedated presents enormous difficulties.
Why?
For one thing, we can't inject.
Because the needle bit him.
Oh, please. Hysteria can cause all sorts of strange reactions.
But it was you who said it was a bite.
It looked like one, I agree, but it couldn't be.
All right. Let's agree it was an injection reaction. But the second point. The moment Tate was dying, Benson called out his name.
Benson and Miss Stewart were going to see Tate. Professor Tate was bound to be on his mind.
And the bite on Tate's neck?
We've been through all this. Don't you see? You're all looking for something. You, Miss Stewart, Professor Tate's wife, you're making things fit.
Even the West Indian?
He could have known about Tate crossing Ormskirk.
Would that make him cry out Tate's name at the same time as Benson and when Tate was dying?
I'm stuck. I don't know what to say.
We must know. We've got to try and prevent it happening to other people.
I'm only a doctor. My first responsibility is to my individual patient. Why must you ask me?
Because the Stellar Research Institute have refused to reveal anything about this man Johnson's brain tracing.
Well, they must have some good reason.
Give me one.
The rule that requires a medical practitioner to keep silent about his patients.
But they aren't medical practitioners.
You're inviting me into a conspiracy, and you don't really know why you're in it yourselves. I'll let you see Benson. I'll even help your inquiries, but I daren't disturb him.
I thought you said he was in a coma.
I'd be more correct to say that he's semi-comatose. Occasionally he mutters things, nothing coherent before you ask.
Nothing at all?
Well, he did say one intelligible word this morning, two, in fact. Sister was most impressed.
What did he say?
He asked Sister for a drink. At least that was how she interpreted it.
He asked for a drink?
Well, not in so many words. He said, thirst, then spring, then thirst again. Incidentally, he didn't actually say it. It was more of a shout.
And do you think this meant he wanted a drink of water?
I agree. It's not exactly explicit, unfortunately. By the time Sister had brought the glass of water, poor Benson had relapsed back into his coma, so I don't suppose we shall ever know. Apart from that, he's uttered no intelligible words at all.
I'd like to put it to you, Doctor, that what he was saying was not, as Sister thought, spring thirst, but Springhurst.
Why should he say that?
Is it possible?
Well, I suppose so, but I really don't see any reason...
Dr. Edwards, we haven't yet told you the name of the mental hospital we visited this morning.
Huh?
It was Springhurst. Now do you understand why Benson might have said it?
It's uncanny. Tell me, is Benson acquainted with this West Indian?
Well, he may know of him. He certainly didn't know that he'd been sent to Springhurst Mental Hospital.
You're quite sure?
He'd have told me.
Strange case. May need strange medicine. I don't want to move Benson, but... Well, it does look as if there might be something in what you say.
If it's not telepathy, what is it? Find another word.
All right. You've convinced me. Congratulations. Hello? Will you get me the EEG department, please? I want to speak to Dr. Kellaway. Thank you.
Semi-comatose. That'll affect the tracings, of course.
All the same, well, the fact is, Kellaway, I don't think things are quite what they seem.
They seldom are. But what's all the mystery, Matthew? Why don't you want my technician to be present?
I think it's better to restrict the number of people present to as few as possible.
I suspect you'd have done without me, too, if you could.
That's about it. Emergency methods.
Well, you'll have to give me a hand. I hope you can remember what to do. Your two friends, they're not medical, I take it?
No. Sort of scientists.
Harry, it's okay.
All right, Miss Stewart. I'm depending on you to keep him calm. And everybody else, please say as little as possible.
Can we get on?
I'm ready. Remember how to fit the electrodes, Matthew?
Yes.
No.
Harry, it's to help you.
Those little gadgets that Dr. Edwards is attaching to the patient's head, they're the electrodes. The activity of the brain is recorded in the form of an electrical impulse. Look at these tracings. You can see the sort of pattern we can expect to get. A flattening out of the waveform shows increased mental activity. No. Trouble, Matthew?
He's resisting.
Here, let me...
We can't go on with this.
We must.
But he's resisting as if his very life...
You must go on.
No, get away.
Move, Claire. Let me have a go.
No.
Benson, try.
Get away from him. We've got to get him out quickly. Kellaway, sedation.
No. Listen.
Try. Hands.
David, take his hands.
Okay, Benson. I'm here. Hold on.
We must give him a sedative.
Can't you see? He's fighting his own resistance. Get on with it before he breaks.
Quick. Stay.
Go on, Kellaway.
Press that button. Right, the impulse has come out of that roll of paper. Collect it, Miss Stewart.
For God's sake, hurry!
Keep... Try!
We can't go on.
We've got to get more. Miss Stewart, press that button when I say press.
Right.
Press.
Kellaway, this is harming my patient.
Stop.
He's calmer now. He's lapsing. He seems to be going to sleep.
Dr. Edwards, he's not...
No. No. He's all right.
Edwards, look at this. Look at those waveforms.
They're certainly very unusual.
Unusual? They're impossible. Just look at the amplitude of those waves. What's this patient's history? I must admit, Oh, but it is impossible. There must be some rational explanation. You see...
What are you trying to tell us?
I'm trying to tell you that here we have a man talking and struggling that is active. And yet the waveforms, instead of growing smaller, have become gigantic, monstrous. And anyway, they don't conform.
Don't conform to what?
To any known pattern of the human brain.
In God's name, man, do you realize what you're saying?
Yes, Matthew, I do.
But what is it?
I don't know. I only know what it isn't.
But the impulses are coming from his brain. This is a man, an ordinary human being.
Look, I admit that these impulses have come from this patient. I don't deny that they could have been transmitted by a brain, and that the brain may be his brain. But I will swear on oath, if necessary, that it is not a human brain.
Host Planet Earth was written by Anne Howell and Colin Cooper and produced by Nestor Payne. Electronic sound and music was created by the BBC Radiophonic Workshop.
The cast is as follows. David Holland was played by Alexander John, Claire Stewart, Brenda Bruce, Mrs. Tate, Marjorie Westbury, Professor Ormskirk, Clive Morton, Dr. Edwards, Heron Carvick, Dr. Harries, Carlton Hobbs, Dr. Kellaway, Douglas Hankin, Guard, Preston Lockwood, Receptionist, Rosalind Shanks, and Harold Benson, Ian Thompson.
And you can hear part 3 of Host Planet Earth tomorrow evening here on 4Extra.
I'm Toby Haydock, and I'm here to tell you about the lineup of sci-fi, fantasy and horror waiting for you this weekend in the 7th dimension, including everyone's favourite tortured scientist, Victor Frankenstein.
He then took me into his laboratory and explained the use of his various machines, instructed me as to what I should procure. He also gave me a list of books, and I took my leave.
Host Planet Earth, a serial in 6 parts by Anne Howell and Colin Cooper.
Control to Starfarer, control to Starfarer. Report condition, mental attitude flight-wise, result of visual instrument check, and any other information. Over.
Starfarer to control, visual check carried out, everything okay. Mental attitude, self and co-pilot, one of extreme frustration. Request permission, take action as soon as possible. Or sooner, over.
Just what does he mean by that?
Well, they've been orbiting a long time, they must be fed up.
Mr. Cape and his companions should be reminded that they were chosen for their qualities of patience and endurance.
And they weren't the only qualities needed. My guess is they're feeling earthbound.
I don't want guesses. Ask him what he means.
Control to Starfarer. Clarify previous remark, please. Over.
Thought you were my friend, Nat. If you'd seen the dawn come up like thunder out across the Pacific as many times as we've seen it this week, you'd want to change too. Remind the Master that ours isn't the only planet in the universe. Over.
Now, let me speak to him. Control to Starfarer. This is Ormskirk. If you don't feel up to the job, say so at once, and we'll bring you down before we begin stage 2. Over.
Starfarer to control. Sorry, sir. Didn't know you were there. Over.
Damn fool. Listen, Cape. You're not alone up there. You can't even hiccup without half a dozen machines recording it. Kindly remember that you are still under close observation. Over.
Starfarer to control. Apology. Confirm awaiting stage 2 with eagerness. No complaints. Both fit as fiddles and straining at the leash. Hope it's going to be soon. Over.
Fit as fiddles. Cape's language isn't exactly scientific.
Well, it doesn't have to be. The instruments are telling us all we need to know. You could give them a quick word of encouragement, Chief. They would appreciate it.
Yes, of course. Control to Starfarer. You are both doing splendidly. My hopes and the best wishes of everyone here go with you. Over.
Starfarer to control. Thanks, Chief. That means a lot. Good night from us till 0200 hours. Over and out.
Control to Starfarer. Good night to you, good morning to us. Over and out.
Good. Well, now, let's have a look at that medical.
Yes, here we are.
Oh, nothing to worry about there. Yes, Rathbone?
Miss Stewart is here.
She knows I'm not to be disturbed when I'm in the control room.
I'll send her away.
Can I speak to her, Professor?
Oh, very well, but don't be too long.
I won't.
Rathbone, I want that radar screen watched continuously night and day by at least one pair of eyes. Is that clear?
I'll see to it.
I also want a line kept open to Jodrell Bank. I don't anticipate any difficulty there. Let me know when it's fixed up.
I'm sorry, Professor, but she insists on seeing you.
But I'm busy, Nat.
All the same, it might be advisable. I'm a bit worried about Claire. She hasn't shown up for 2 or 3 days. She's got something on her mind.
She lacks team spirit. She has no enthusiasm for the project. We cannot afford passengers, Professor.
It's not as simple as that. She thinks that what we're doing is dangerous.
Dangerous?
She claims to have evidence. I think we ought to hear what she has to say.
Heavens, Claire, you call that evidence?
I know it sounds improbable, but there is a telepathic link between these people. Both Harry and this West Indian porter knew the exact moment of Professor Tate's death, even though they were miles away.
A West Indian porter. I hope you're not going to put it all down to voodoo.
There's also the matter of Benson's brain tracings.
But, what are you trying to suggest? That poor Benson's been turned overnight into some kind of zombie? Oh, no, Claire, it's too ridiculous.
Benson isn't the only sick man. There are more than 1 or 2, many more, and some of them had died, including Professor Tate.
I am still quite satisfied that Tate died of natural causes. I'm sorry, Claire, but I can't take this seriously. My experiment is going well. The rocket's in orbit, as you know, and we're all set for stage 2. You can't expect me to stop now.
Please, won't you investigate? It's the least you can do.
It shall be done, all in good time.
Now, before it's too late.
I'm sorry you're against my project, Claire.
I'm not against it, but... Oh, can't you see? There's something terrible happening to all these people.
I have no doubt that the reason for the high rate of illness will be discovered in due course. But I fail to see what connection it has with my experiment.
There must be a connection.
I'm quite sure there's some simple, rational explanation.
An explanation can be so simple and so rational that no one dare look it in the face.
My dear, I know you've been grossly overworked on this project.
Oh, really?
We all have. It goes with the job, I'm afraid. But now that your part in it is largely completed, why don't you take a week or 2 off?
Oh, for heaven's
sake. A spot of unofficial leave. I could do with a bit myself, but I'm still needed. Unfortunate, but there it is. Well, what do you say?
Professor Ormskirk, if you go through with this project, you may be causing the deaths of innocent people.
Hysteria. Pure hysteria. Rathbone?
Yes, Professor?
The press release.
It's being typed now.
Cancel it.
Cancel it?
I have decided that any public knowledge of our experiment would be inadvisable at present.
We weren't going to tell them very much.
We are going to tell them even less. In a word, nothing.
But, Professor Ormskirk...
It will not be in the national interests.
There is the rest of the world to be considered. This is knowledge that should be shared, Professor.
When it becomes knowledge, and not merely the fantasy of a possibly crazy old man, then I shall share it. Until then, the world can wait. It won't hurt them. I had to wait long enough.
I think the man must be mad.
No, sane, but dedicated.
You can bet too dedicated.
Doesn't seem to do him any harm. It's the undedicated ones who seem to suffer most, whereas people like Ormskirk and Rathbone and Nat Blakey never seem to get ill.
Claire, stop. Do you realize what you're saying?
What?
You're saying that scientists who are really dedicated to Ormskirk's project don't get this mysterious illness.
Not necessarily. No one could have been more dedicated to it than Professor Tate, but... Oh, David.
Exactly. Tate developed ducts and he died. Benson was on his way to see Tate. Look what happened to him.
So whatever's causing the sickness is choosing its victims.
It could be. Well, the dedicated boys like Ormskirk and Rathbone and Blakey never get harmed. Why? Because it can't touch them or because it doesn't want to?
David, what does it mean?
Is there anyone on that list of sick people you could call truly dedicated? Anyone in the Ormskirk class?
No, not one.
Ah. fair deduction might be that it's picking out the indifferent, the uncommitted, the people who don't care, as well as those who are actively against Ormskirk's experiment.
But I was with Harry when he collapsed. Why him and not me? I felt just as strongly about it.
Perhaps you're immune.
Well, why should I be? There's nothing special about me. Nothing that makes me basically different. I'm 27, I'm a scientist, I have a widowed mother in Scotland and a twin sister in Canada. It's all quite ordinary.
It could be something very obscure, something to do with brain patterns, something very simple. For instance, you're left-handed, aren't you?
That's not very unusual.
No, I'm left-handed too.
Well, so are thousands of other people.
It's still different enough to be remarked on.
Yes, but not in any important sense. Oh, David, I don't know. Sometimes I feel so unsure of myself. It's not easy to hold on to your beliefs when you feel that everyone else...
Not quite everyone.
Without you, I don't know what I would have done.
You'd have managed. You're that kind of person.
You don't know me very well.
I thought I did.
We haven't had time, have we?
We could make the time.
Could we?
I don't see why not.
I'll remind you.
You won't have to.
Promise me one thing, David. If anything happens to me, you won't blame me.
Happens to you?
Well, if I become like Harry Benson, dehumanized, a human body driven by an alien mind.
Would it be your fault?
I don't know. That's what worries me.
I promise.
Thanks.
Listen, Claire, I don't know who or what has done this to Harry Benson, but I'll tell you this. No one's going to brainwash me if I can help it.
Nor me.
Right, we'll make a pact.
No brainwashing under any circumstances.
And yet, our theory's right. We're obvious targets. We've made a few discoveries between us, haven't we? This telepathy business, the accident rate. Strange that more people haven't spotted it, but there it is.
The only thing the inhabitants of Suffolk seem to have noticed is the noise from the testing range.
It must be air splitting. I'd be up in arms if I lived there.
Oh, they were. They sent a deputation in protest.
Who did?
A little village called Stratton near Stowmarket. Considering the size of the place, it was quite a big deputation. You know, banners, placards, the lot. The rector led the way together with the schoolmaster.
What happened?
They registered their protest, then went home quietly.
Was the noise reduced?
No, quite the reverse, if anything.
Did they demonstrate again?
No.
I would have.
Well, they didn't.
You know what I'm thinking?
You're thinking we ought to go to Stratton to find out why the villagers were so easily satisfied.
Satisfied or brainwashed? Yes, let's go there.
Afternoon, sir.
Afternoon. 2 super, please.
2 super.
Was he on the deputation?
I don't know.
Remember any names? Rector? School teacher?
The rector's name was Hemming. The school teacher, I'm not sure. Roberts or Richards, something like that.
Check the oil for you, sir?
No, thanks. Are you Mr. Banks himself?
That's right, sir. Joseph Banks, proprietor. Been here 20 years.
Business must be pretty good on this road.
Oh, mustn't complain. There's more traffic about these days, but of course there's more competition too. So it works both ways. But I hold my own, and that's good enough for me.
The rockets don't bother you?
The rockets?
Oh, you're pretty close to the testing range. Must be noisy sometimes.
Oh, yes, that's pretty noisy now and again, but, well, that's no bother. Done a bit of good round here, them rockets.
What good have they done?
More trade, employment. That's a good thing, I reckon.
So you didn't have anything to do with the deputation?
What deputation?
The deputation that complained about the rockets.
When would that be now, sir?
About 6 months ago.
I don't remember it.
It was a big deputation. Practically the whole village took part. It was led by the rector.
Maybe you got the wrong village. This isn't the only place round here.
The deputation came from Stratton, and that's Stratton down the road.
Oh, I reckon you got hold of the wrong end of the stick. Well, weren't us. We got nothing against the rockets. Like I said before, that's a good thing for all of us.
I'd like to make a phone call, please.
You can't. Sorry, miss, that's out of order.
Can I try? It is rather important.
Well, that's no good if it's out of order. Been waiting for the post office engineer to call. Can't do a thing till he come. Hey, hold hard. Where are you going?
I think you'd better check the oil after all.
What?
The oil. Please check it.
She never ought to have done that. You should have stopped her. I said that was out of order, didn't I? Why didn't you stop her?
Are you going to check my oil?
It's ringing.
I guessed he was lying.
Hello?
Mrs. Hemming?
Yes?
Could I speak to the rector? It's about the deputation he led. You know, about the rockets.
Who are you?
I'm a scientist. There's something I think we ought to discuss.
You mean... Oh, I'm so glad. We've been so worried. You've no idea of the strain we've both been going through. Will you hold on? I'll get him for you.
Get you away from that phone.
We have news for you, Mr. Banks. Your phone is in perfect working order.
You heard what I said. Put that down or I'll...
You'll what?
That ain't allowed. No one's allowed to use the phone.
And that sign outside, you may telephone from here. What does that mean?
I'm warning you, mister.
And I'm warning you. Come any closer and there'll be trouble. Now get out. We want to finish our call. Good.
Hello?
Yes?
I can't understand it. He won't come to the phone. It's most extraordinary. He was so disturbed about the whole thing. Are you speaking from the site?
No, we're at Banks' garage.
Oh, that's not far. Could you come over? I'm sure my husband will see you if you come. No one could have been more concerned than he was over this frightening business.
Tell her we're on our way.
We'll come right away, Mrs. Hemming.
Oh, thank you so much. You'll see the church about a mile down the hill on the right. The rectory's next door. Please come as quickly as you can. I'm so anxious. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Come on. We must hurry.
Oh, thank goodness, thank goodness. Thomas! They're coming, Thomas. The scientists. They'll be here in a few minutes. At last, Thomas. At last. Thomas? Oh, Thomas. Thomas. Oh, no. No. I must control myself. There's nothing to be afraid of. Resist. Sit down. Here. Bible. They'll be here soon. Oh, hurry. Please, hurry. Open it. Force yourself. Now, read. And the first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of trees was burnt up, and all green grass was oh, Thomas! And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven onto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Oh, rot! All that is not true. It is not true at all. It is not true. Not true, not true. Untrue.
Mrs. Hemming, we came as quickly as we could.
Well, there was no hurry.
But your husband?
My husband?
May we come in, Mrs. Hemming?
Well, of course, but I don't quite understand.
You said that you might be able to persuade your husband to speak to us.
I said that.
You can't have forgotten.
A long time ago. A long, long time ago.
No, just a few minutes, Mrs. Hemming. Where is your husband?
Why do you keep referring to my husband?
Because we've got to speak to him. It's very urgent.
Please tell him, Mrs. Hemming. Tell him that we're here.
My husband isn't at home.
But you said...
I said nothing. You have been listening to the stupid village gossip. You see, I'm afraid my husband has left me.
Left you?
Several weeks ago. Well, naturally, I don't like to talk about it if I can avoid it. But you seem determined to drag the painful details of my private life into the glare of daylight.
So you're living alone here in the rectory?
The church commissioners have been very understanding. I wish I could say the same for other elements. Well, I expect you'd like a cup of tea. Do sit down. Make yourselves at home. I'm looking forward to a nice little chat. Have you seen the church yet? I must take you round. We have some of the finest carved bench ends in the whole country. They're really exquisite. I'll put the kettle on.
We're too late, aren't we?
Whatever it is, it works damn quickly.
She's a different woman.
Uncanny. Do you think it was because we were on our way to see her?
And the rector himself?
I don't know. I've got a feeling he's around somewhere, in spite of his wife's tale of marital woe. This door. I wonder what's in here.
Keep away from that door.
I'm sorry, but I think I ought to go in.
I order you to keep away.
David, she's got a knife.
Oh, you're hurting my arm.
Okay, go on in. I'll hold her.
You're wasting your time. He knows nothing. Go away and leave us in peace.
David,
What is it, Claire?
the rector. He's dead. He's hanged himself.
This is your doing. He was a good man. If you hadn't come here, he...
Claire, we've got to find that schoolmaster. He's our last chance.
But are we going to get a doctor or something?
Too late, Claire. He's dead.
No one can help him now. No one.
Come on. We've got no time to waste. Through here. The door's over there. Oh, my God, this classroom's in a mess.
Hello. What's your name?
Rosemary. Manning.
Where's your teacher?
I don't know.
Well, when did you see him last? How long ago?
Black man come for him.
What black man? Someone you know?
No.
Rosemary, don't cry, dear. Got a hanky? Lend me your handkerchief, David. There. That's better. Now, Rosemary, I want you to tell me exactly what happened when the black man came for your teacher.
He come in a hurry. And he whispered to Mr. Roberts. And Mr. Roberts looked very angry. More angry than he looked when he get his sums wrong. Then he went out.
Who went out? Mr. Roberts or the man who came to see him?
They both went out.
How long ago?
About 10 hours.
She must mean 10 minutes.
Was it before you had dinner or after?
After.
Soon after?
We were doing sums.
Ask her what the visitor said.
Rosemary, the man who came to see Mr. Roberts, did you hear what he said?
He was whispering.
Yes, I know, but sometimes you can hear what people say when they whisper.
I think it was a secret.
Mr. Roberts is a great friend of mine, Rosemary. I'm sure he's not going to mind if you tell us his secret.
He said something about the rockets.
What exactly? What did he say about the rockets?
I told you he was whispering.
And what did Mr. Roberts say?
He said they'd gone too far this time, then they ran away.
They ran?
Well, which way did they go?
Over there.
Where the rockets are?
Yes.
Thank you, Rosemary. You've been very helpful.
Here, buy yourself a lolly.
Mr. Roberts say they're bad for your teeth.
I don't think Mr. Roberts will mind just this once.
We can't leave her, David.
But we can't. Look, sweetheart, can you find your own way home?
Of course I can.
Well, you pop off home as quickly as you can. Tell your mummy that Mr. Roberts went away and Mr. Holland said you could go home. All right?
What do you think they'll try to do?
They'll never get in, will they?
Well, if they did, they wouldn't get far before the armed guards caught up with them.
We didn't do so badly.
Well, you have me to help you.
Did you notice? That little girl.
Rosemary?
She took my handkerchief with her left hand.
And she hadn't been affected.
Mm-hmm. We'd better start walking. Let's hope we can catch them up.
These children. Listen.
I'm afraid there's nothing we can do for them now. Where does this road lead?
It follows the perimeter round.
To the main gate?
Yes. What are you thinking?
I'm trying to put myself in their place. They know something's wrong, but exactly how much do they know? What did this coloured man tell Roberts that made them both rush out in such a hurry?
Well, he must have told him about Ormskirk's latest experiment.
Could it be someone from the base?
Well, the only West Indian on the base was that sick porter. Can't be him.
All we know for certain is that two men, one of whom was Mr. Roberts, decided that something had to be done and set off in this direction. What did they hope to do?
David, look. Over there.
What?
There's a man lying on the grass.
Yes, you're right.
It must be him.
A school teacher?
Yes.
He's dead.
Oh, David.
Claire, he's been shot.
The guards?
It wouldn't be difficult for them. We aren't very far from the fence. We haven't had much to go on before. A possible heart failure, seeming mental breakdown, and apparent suicide. But this is plain murder.
It's impossible.
Is it?
Are you certain that he's dead?
There's no doubt at all.
But there are marks coming up on his body. How can bites come up on a dead body?
7 minutes to go. Commence audio countdown at 2 minutes.
Audio countdown at 2 minutes.
Are you nervous, Professor?
Nervous? If I weren't sure of my facts, I might be. Not that you can ever be 100% sure till you've done it. Don't ask such silly questions, Rathbone. You ought to know better.
All the same, it is a big moment. Your whole career has been leading up to this. Tomorrow, you will be as famous as Galileo.
For God's sake.
If it works.
Mr. Blakey, I strongly advise you to keep your eyes fixed on that radar screen. We don't want to lose track of our ship before it goes out of orbit, do we?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Rathbone.
I fail to see...
Shut up, Rathbone. What do you mean, that, if it works? Hardly the time to show lack of confidence, I should have thought.
Oh, you know what I mean, Chief.
I don't think I do.
Well, you remember what Claire Stewart was saying?
Uninformed speculation. I'm surprised at you, Nat.
There might be something in it. That brain tracing they got from poor Harry Benson, for instance.
Oh, what about it?
Now, you've kind of forgotten. They said it didn't conform to any human pattern.
Whatever Harry Benson was, he was a fine physicist. I'd give a job to the Loch Ness Monster if it had the necessary qualifications.
She said you'd been sent another tracing. One of our porters.
Oh, really, Nat, this is going too far. As it happens, I remember this particular case perfectly. Nervous breakdown, wasn't it, Rathbone?
Yes, Professor. He was sent at great expense to a private mental hospital. The physician in charge thought we'd be interested in what appeared to him to be an unusual brain tracing.
And were we?
It went to our own medical department. They confirmed that it was consistent with the facts of his illness as we knew them.
There you are, Nat. Not much to worry about there. Really, the notion that we're all being exposed to some frightful unknown danger is too absurd for words.
The whole idea is ludicrous.
I could put it even more strongly.
Yes. Well, thank you, Chief. You do know I'm on your side, don't you, whatever happens?
But, Mr. Blakey, what do you think is going to happen? Don't you think the experiment is going to succeed?
Yes, I think it will. But what happens afterwards?
What do you mean, afterwards?
What will be the consequences?
The immediate consequences will be recognition at last for Professor Ormskirk. I am sure they will give him a knighthood, at least.
For heaven's sake, man. Do you think I care for that sort of thing?
A grateful world will shower honors upon you, whether you like it or not.
I don't want that damn gratitude. I only want it to work.
The benefits to mankind will be enormous. Interstellar spaceflight made practical at last. To be able to reach a remote planet, not in years, but in weeks, days, possibly hours. Isn't that something to stir the imagination?
Turn on the audio countdown, Nat.
It might have begun yet.
Never mind. Turn it on.
3 minutes and 30 seconds. 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Stand by, please.
I'd better speak to the boys. Wish them luck.
Professor. It's not too late to bring them down.
Nat, I will hear no more of that. I see no reason to discontinue this experiment. Now, let me talk to the pilots.
3 minutes now. 3 minutes. Stand by, please. 19, 18, 17, 16.
It's fantastic. A ship with 2 men in it, orbiting 200 miles above our heads. A tiny blob on a radar screen, and in a few minutes...
All right, Nat.
9.
Quiet, everybody.
8,
Please.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's gone. My God, it's gone. One moment it was on the screen, and then it just vanished. It vanished, I tell you.
Let me be the first to congratulate you, Professor.
Huh? Oh, thank you.
The experiment is a wonderful success.
Yes, I'm very pleased. But we mustn't be premature. The ship has gone out of orbit into the chute. When it returns, then we can call the experiment a success.
You mean when it returns safely?
We have done all we could. Every possible factor has been taken into account.
Every known factor, but what about the unknown?
As scientists, we can only deal with the facts as we know them. We should not worry about the unknown, Mr. Blakey.
Shouldn't we? Then what should we worry about?
Host Planet Earth was written by Anne Hull and Colin Cooper and produced by Nestor Payne. Electronic sound and music was created by the BBC Radiophonic Workshop.
The cast is as follows. Nat Blakey was played by Nigel Anthony, Bill Cape, Ian Thompson, Professor Ormskirk, Clive Morton, Rathbone, Timothy Bateson, Claire Stewart, Brenda Bruce, David Holland, Alexander John, Joseph Banks, Peter Tuddenham, Mrs. Hemming, Betty Hardy, Rosemary Manning, Barbara Mitchell, Technician, Preston Lockwood, and Schoolboys, Spencer Shires and David Orker.
You can hear part 4 of Host Planet Earth, The Gemini Factor, tomorrow at the same time.
This is BBC Radio 4 Extra.
Mark Radcliffe tells a classically sad funny man's tale now in How Tickled Am I from 1999. It seems the only time Jimmy Clitheroe ever felt content was when he was on stage doing his radio show.
We present Jimmy Clitheroe as the Clitheroe Kid, with Peter Sinclair's
Host Planet Earth, a serial in 6 parts by Anne Hull and Colin Cooper.
Two possibilities. Either stage 3 has been successful and the ship's gone outwards into space, or it's blown up. In either case, the effect is the same, a blank radar screen.
If it had disintegrated, there would have been something tangible. Fragments. There has been nothing.
Rathbone's right, Nat. The only possible conclusion is that my theory has worked and Starfarer has freed itself from the laws governing the speed of light.
That's what worries me. It's no longer subject to the forces we know and understand. Well, we should have waited until we were absolutely certain.
May I remind you that I am conducting experiments in spaceflight, not running a commercial airline.
You put 2 men in that ship, Professor Ormskirk.
That's enough, Nat. A manship was necessary. I take full responsibility, and as far as I'm concerned, everything is going well.
You are wrong to antagonize him.
All right, so I'm wrong.
Professor Ormskirk is a great man, Mr. Blakey, a very great man.
Well, that is irrelevant.
It is you who are being irrelevant. The point of the experiment was to prove that if you can conquer gravity, you can conquer the other laws as well, including the law that governs the speed of light. This is exactly what Professor Ormskirk has done, and you are criticizing him as if he were an ordinary man.
I know he's not ordinary, but the 2 men in Starfarer are. And so are the men who've been taken ill, Rathbone. Friends of mine. Yours too, ordinary men. 3 of them are on the danger list.
They are being well looked after.
Oh, sure, no expense spared, everything that can be done, etc. But what I'm asking myself, what you seem to have forgotten, is why they became ill in the first place.
I think we have already discussed...
Oh, yes, we've been all through this before. But nothing's been done. Meanwhile, people are dropping like flies. Not only the people actually working on the rockets, but clerks, storekeepers, guards, everyone. Ormskirk should hold an inquiry.
Professor Ormskirk has other things to think about. Besides, the evidence is inconclusive.
And another thing, this shooting incident. I'm not very happy about that.
It was nothing to do with us.
I don't believe it. Those guards are armed, and you know it as well as I do.
If you have any criticism about the way this establishment is administered, I suggest that you make it personally to Professor Ormskirk. He will not thank you for it.
And what are the police doing about it?
I'm quite sure the police have the matter well in hand.
I
I'm afraid the superintendent's busy just at the moment.
It's very important.
It usually is, miss. What is the purpose of your call?
You can tell him that we're all in danger. You, me, the whole country. Perhaps the whole world. See if that'll arouse his interest.
Oh, I see, sir. You want me to say to the super that the whole world's in danger?
Yes.
I did hear you correctly, sir.
You did.
Well, I'm not sure whether it quite comes within our scope, but if you'll wait here, I'll see what I can do for you.
Now, let me get this clear. You say the scientists are carrying out experiments which endanger human life, right?
Right.
I'm no scientist, but I understand there's often a good deal of risk attached to this kind of thing.
Mr. Holland has already told you.
Yes, Miss Stewart, I know. Nevertheless, I find it difficult to accept the implication that this unaccounted-for sickness is bound up with flights into space.
Superintendent, do you happen to know the precise nature of these experiments?
I do not.
Well, I do. And you can take it from me that...
If you please, Mr. Holland. The Cellular Research Establishment may have their rockets on my doorstep, but there's a very good reason for my ignorance. It's called the Official Secrets Act. I'm sure you wouldn't want to incriminate yourself by telling me too much.
Superintendent, something's happening to these people's minds. There's some force at work, something intelligent and yet inhuman. A whole village has been subjugated.
Subjugated?
If that doesn't interest you, how about murder?
Murder?
A school teacher from Stratton was shot near the perimeter fence.
What do you know about it?
We came across the body before your men got there.
Ah, yes. You didn't happen to see a van driving away, did you?
No.
A green van going in a northerly direction?
No.
Who saw it? Who saw the van?
We have an eyewitness, unusual in a murder case. Are you trying to tell me that the shooting of Roberts is connected with this story of yours?
Yes, I am.
Who was he? Who was this eyewitness?
A man called Rathbone. I understand he has quite an important post.
Oh, yes. He's Professor Ormskirk's right-hand man. Did he see the murder?
Unfortunately not. He heard the shot, went to his window, saw the body on the side of the road and the van driving away. Not much to go on, but more than we usually get.
You do know that the guards are armed?
Not according to my information.
If the bullet came from one of their guns, you could prove it, couldn't you?
If we found the bullet, unfortunately it went clean through him. We'd have to search about 5 square miles of Suffolk with a fine-tooth comb.
Why don't you?
We will, Mr. Holland, if we have to.
Do you know that Roberts led a deputation in protest against the rockets?
No. Are you suggesting that Roberts was shot because he protested about the rockets?
No, because he knew something was wrong, horribly wrong, and was trying to do something about it.
That's a serious charge to make against a government department.
We're sticking to it, Superintendent. And I'll tell you something else. The joint leader of the deputation was the rector of Stratton. He committed suicide at roughly the same time as Roberts was murdered.
You know, this idea of yours is a bit too far-fetched for my liking. All the same, I think we'll pay a visit to the rocket site. You'd better come too. We'll see what the experts themselves have to say about it.
I tell you, it's absolute nonsense. I've never heard such a fantastic collection of half-truths, misrepresentations, and downright lies. The man's obviously insane. Take him away, certify him, anything you like, but don't pester me.
I'm very sorry, sir, but a man has been killed. We have to investigate every possibility, however unlikely.
You could hardly have chosen one that was less likely. Alien force, indeed. Claire, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
I'm sorry, Professor, but it's the only explanation that fits.
I'd hardly call it an explanation. What is it, this force? Where does it come from? Why haven't you felt it? You expect me to accept a bare statement as if it were a fact.
I'd tell you more, but there are so many things I don't understand about it.
My dear girl, if I went to the police every time I came across something I didn't understand, the superintendent would never get a moment's peace. Ask Mr. Rathbone to come to my office, will you?
It's been suggested that Roberts was killed by a shot fired by one of your security guards.
Oh, come, Superintendent. This isn't a concentration camp. My guards are armed with nothing more lethal than a whistle and a torch. We do have some Alsatian dogs, I believe. Quite sure he wasn't bitten to death.
No doubt the autopsy will tell us about that, sir.
Rathbone, you've already met the superintendent, I think.
I have.
Well, now, 2 further points, Mr. Rathbone. You say in your statement that when you heard what sounded like a car backfiring, you went to the window and were just in time to see a man getting into a green van, which then drove away.
Yes, northwards.
Quite so. Now, could the shot have been fired by one of your security guards?
No, they are not armed.
That's not true.
One moment, Miss Stewart. Now, Mr. Rathbone, this man you saw getting into the van, you didn't see his face, I suppose.
If I had, I would have told you.
You wouldn't know him again?
No.
It's been suggested that there may have been something unusual about him.
Unusual?
Was he a West Indian?
I beg your pardon?
A West Indian?
His back was turned. I was unable to see his face.
Thank you, Mr. Rathbone. I think that's all.
Thank you.
Oh, there you are. Obviously nothing to do with us.
There's this question of the alien force acting on people's minds.
Oh, really, Superintendent?
Forgive me, sir. I'd like to get to the bottom of it. After the sensational things that Mr. Holland here has been telling me, I thought perhaps you could put the records straight.
With pleasure. We are making a controlled flight into space, a new development. We've had a bit of illness, more than average, perhaps, but nothing to be alarmed about. I do assure you that we are fully aware of the necessity of discovering the exact cause and taking steps to eliminate it. You will understand that for reasons of security, I cannot say any more.
I understand, sir. Well, it's very much as I expected. You've no further point to raise, Mr. Holland?
Oh, what's the use?
Those guards are armed, and if you'll come with me, I'll prove it.
You've no objection, Professor?
None whatever. We have nothing to hide.
Purely routine, of course. I just like to satisfy myself.
Huh? Are you all right, Superintendent?
All right.
You look pale. Better sit down for a moment.
No, it's nothing. Well, I'll be on my way, Professor. Thank you for your help.
Not at all. We're always happy to help the police.
Wild goose chase, if ever there was one.
Superintendent, the guns, I'll show you.
Guns?
The guns carried by the guards.
I don't think that will be necessary.
But they do carry guns.
Professor Ormskirk has assured me that they do not.
But he doesn't know. He's so wrapped up in his work, he doesn't even know what day of the week it is sometimes. You've got to believe me, Superintendent.
Professor Ormskirk has given me his word that the guards...
Oh, why can't you understand? He doesn't know.
Claire, you're wasting your time.
More coffee, David?
Oh, thanks.
It's like a nightmare. I mean, why did Rathbone lie about the West Indian? It must have been him, but Rathbone deliberately tried to mislead us.
Rathbone? Rathbone's affected.
Yes. It's become almost impossible to talk to him like an ordinary human being.
Now we know why. An ordinary human being is just what he isn't. I said just now that we couldn't rely on anyone. But we can rely on Rathbone.
I should have thought he was the last person.
No. You know those trick questions about one person always lying and the other always telling the truth? Well, we can't be sure who's telling the truth, but we can be certain that Rathbone will try to mislead us.
You mean about the West Indian?
Exactly. He must have seen him. He could have put the police on his track, but he lied. That West Indian must be so important that Rathbone, or someone...
Or something.
Or something. Daren't risk him being involved. There's our direction. The West Indian in the mental hospital.
Peter Johnson.
There must be a connection.
But, David, he's catatonic.
I know, but I think it's time we paid another visit to Springhurst Mental Hospital.
There's nothing really to be said. Johnson has been discharged.
Cured, Dr. Harris?
There is no point in discussing the matter. The case is closed.
I'm not satisfied, Dr. Harris. There's still a lot we want to know. Where did Peter Johnson go when he was discharged?
I have no further information for you.
David,
Claire!
Now, all right. It's only car sickness. I'm afraid I'll have to...
Where are you going?
I won't be a minute.
I cannot allow you
Dr. Harris, you can see she's not well. You might have the decency...
All right. I'll show you. Come with me.
Now, where? Card index, of course. Johnson, Peter. Address flat 3.
She'll be all right.
Nasty thing, car sickness.
I've never had it.
Odd how it affects women more than men.
Indeed.
And passengers more than drivers. Something to do with concentration, maybe. Oh, I'm not suggesting...
If you have nothing more to ask...
Oh, but I have. I want Peter Johnson's address.
Then I suggest you contact his employers, the Stellar Research Establishment.
I'd be wasting my time. But you know that, don't you?
I have no other suggestion to make.
You're not being exactly cooperative, Doctor.
I'm sorry.
Ah, Claire. Better now?
Yes, it wasn't very much.
Well, Doctor, we won't take up any more of your time. I'm sorry you didn't feel able to give us the information we wanted.
But we must have it.
Excuse me, I have an appointment. I must bring this interview to an end.
Well, where do we go now?
Flat 3, 79 Grimsby Villas, Stowmarket. Peter Johnson was taken there by ambulance yesterday.
David, so you did get his address?
Uh-huh. Just had long enough to look up the doctor's card index. It was a near thing, though.
Taken by ambulance, so he's not cured.
Did you expect him to be?
No.
Smart work on your part. What made you think of car sickness?
It wasn't very difficult. It happened to be true. '79. Here we are. Flat 3, Johnson.
How well do you know him?
We've passed the time of day once or twice, nothing more. He was very popular. Always had a big smile for everyone.
Yeah.
Peter.
No.
Wait.
Man, you're going to take your foot out of my door, or am I going to have to kick you out?
Don't you recognize me, Peter?
You hear what I said to your boyfriend?
But it's Claire. Claire Stewart from the rocket site. We're your friends.
No friends in that place.
Put that knife away, you fool.
You from the rocket site, that's good enough for me. Flaming murderers.
Right, if that's the way you want it. Sorry. He was going to use that knife.
Oh.
He's bleeding.
Yeah. It's only a cut. Funny. He really didn't seem to recognize you. Amnesia?
It could be, but... David, it's not Peter.
What?
I'm almost sure of it. It looks like him, but...
He must... I've got it, Claire. This is Peter's brother. His twin brother.
What?
Well, don't you see? He's unaffected. And you've got a twin sister, and you haven't been affected either.
But you...
No, I'm not a twin. It's beginning to look as though I should have been. I don't understand. It's screwy.
Oh,
I'll get some water for that cut.
Oh, my head.
Can you stand up?
I think so.
Good. Sure you're all right?
Yeah.
Now, listen. You heard what we were saying.
Yeah, but there's more to it than that.
But that's why they shot Roberts, isn't it? They couldn't get him any other way. He was immune because he had a twin.
Roberts didn't have no twin.
But he was immune, and that's why they shot him.
He was too strong for them.
Even though he wasn't a twin?
Yeah. Seems some people are immune without being twins. And another thing, not every twin is immune.
Why?
I don't know. There's more to it.
Where did you learn this?
My brother.
He's here?
Sure.
Sick?
Yeah, he's sick. Oh, my head is still... Your girlfriend's a long time with that water. Let's go inside.
Yes. Yes, she is a long time.
Damn. No hanky. I have to use a tea towel. Hope it's clean. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Claire. Claire.
Beautiful.
Claire, it's me. David. Listen to me, Claire. You've got to pull yourself together. For God's sake, make the effort. What happened?
Oh, David. Oh, a wonderful dream. No, not a dream. Real. Real. Trees, waterfalls, flowers, such flowers. And people, strange, beautiful people. Not human, more graceful. And warm rain. Fine sun.
Claire, you're a rational human being. You have a mind of your own. Don't let yourself be carried away by some misty vision.
You're so stupid. You don't understand a thing. What's so wonderful about human beings? You think there's no one else in our galaxy? I've seen them, David.
Claire.
Flowers. Beautiful. Must have. Lily. Water lily.
Claire, wake up. Do you hear?
Look. This water lily. Did you ever see such... Oh.
Water lily. A crumpled, soggy bit of rag, that's your water lily.
I thought it was.
Well, it's not. You can see that now, can't you? You can see what a mockery it is, this vision of yours.
But how can I be sure? How can I be sure?
Whatever it is, you've got to fight it.
But we don't know it's evil. We only mistrust it because it's alien, because perhaps we're wrong to resist it.
Claire, don't talk like that. Oh, Claire. Claire.
What's going on in here?
Chris, help me.
My brother, go get him.
Where's he?
In the bedroom. Bring him in here. I'll do what I can. Claire, look. I take your hand in mine. You can feel that. You know I'm here?
They've gone. Who are you? Let go of my hand.
No, not yet.
Let me go back. Please, let me go back.
Come on, Peter. Chris is here.
David, make him let me go.
Not going to let you go. Now, you listen to Peter. He'll tell you.
I hate you for this. Let me go.
Peter, tell the lady about this vision she's been having.
Vision?
Yes, tell her about those beautiful people.
They all died. Yes, they died.
No.
Every single one.
Dead.
But I saw them. They were alive. They were so happy.
Then the invaders came.
Oh, God.
From another world. Flamethrowers. Everything that stood in their way. Burned.
No. I don't believe it. You're lying. Let me go. Oh, let me go.
It's all right. It's all right, Claire.
Give me your hand again.
You don't need my hand anymore. You're safe now. You've seen it.
Seen what?
Oh, David, it was horrible. The burning and the killing.
And that's what's going to happen here?
No. Something worse. These invaders, they didn't kill everything. The creatures survived.
The creatures?
They had no one to control them any longer. So they multiplied.
Multiplied. Nothing else but them. Multiplied and covered their whole world. Sucked it dry. Every living thing.
What sort of creatures, man?
Sucked it dry. Like the desert.
Yes. I saw it. The wind screaming over the bare rocks in a parched desert. Nothing else left. Nothing.
Over and over again it happened. Over and over again.
What do you mean?
He means when they sucked it dry, they went somewhere else.
How?
In the invaders' spaceships.
What? These creatures forced their way into the spaceships?
Then they killed invaders' own planet.
World after world, century after century, billions of years, stronger and stronger.
But what are they?
Guess you'd call them parasites living on other people's worlds, sucking them dry, just like Peter said.
God. Interstellar parasites, with worlds as their hosts.
And now it's our turn.
They're not intelligent. They can't construct ships.
They know how to wait.
David, the rocket. They force people to collect them.
Yes. It may have been going on throughout millions of years. It may be that every time a planet has invented the transport, they've somehow drawn it to them. And now we've invented it. The moment Professor Ormskirk conceived the idea of the shoot rocket, we became vulnerable.
But how? The force. I mean, I felt it.
But I didn't.
But I'm a twin.
But I'm not.
Like I said, some people it just can't touch. I'm one. Guess you must be another.
There must be others like us. People who can resist it. If we could get together somehow.
You and me? We're in a very small minority. Believe me, we ain't got a chance. This is mass hypnosis.
Hypnosis? But what sort of creature can use it over millions of miles of space?
I've a feeling we shall know that very soon.
Starfarer. What are we going to do?
Nothing we can do. This world of ours is doomed. The rocket has gone to their dying world and is going to bring them back here.
It's back! It's back!
What?
Come over here. Look at that screen.
You may be right. Ask Professor Ormskirk to come to the control room. Tell him stage 3 is about to commence. It looks solid enough. Call them up, Mr. Blakey.
Control to Starfarer. Control to Starfarer. Are you receiving me? Over. Control to Starfarer. Control to Starfarer. Can you hear me, Starfarer? Over. Oh, hello, Chief. It's back, we think.
Have you eliminated the other possibilities?
I will get a report. Blakey's trying to contact them by radio.
Control to Starfarer. Report my signal strength. Over.
This is a great moment, Professor.
You think so, Rathbone?
But it is the proof that your theory is correct.
I knew that when Starfarer left the radar screen and disappeared into space. This is only the cup of coffee that rounds off the meal.
The world will think differently.
Oh, the world always thinks differently. That reminds me, the press release. Send it out.
With pleasure.
Professor, I can't get any reply from them.
The batteries may be run down.
But they shouldn't be.
They have been away longer than we expected.
Yes, but not that long.
Some factor we had not considered, perhaps. Some unknown cosmic effect on the equipment.
If there was something wrong with the equipment, we'd know about it.
Excuse me, sir.
What is it?
Teleprinter report from Jodrell Bank.
Read it.
Most immediate to Professor Ormskirk. Unidentified satellite in orbit 79. Minimum 270, maximum 310, plotted 1537 hours. All available data indicate return of your Starfarer projectile. We'll keep informed. Message ends.
So, that's it.
Nat, turn the speaker on. I want to hear for myself.
That's it. The transmitter's on, but they're not speaking.
Call them up.
Control to Starfarer. Control to Starfarer. Can you hear me? Over.
Again.
Control to Starfarer. Control to Starfarer. Can you hear me? Please reply. Over.
Let me speak. Control to Starfarer. This is Professor Ormskirk. Can you hear me? For God's sake, answer me. Answer me. Answer!
Host Planet Earth was written by Anne Howell and Colin Cooper and produced by Nestor Payne. Electronic sound and music was created by the BBC Radiophonic Workshop.
The cast is as follows. Nat Blakey was played by Nigel Anthony, Professor Ormskirk, Clive Morton, Rathbone, Timothy Bateson, Police Sergeant, Anthony Vickers, Claire Stewart, Brenda Bruce, David Holland, Alexander John, Police Superintendent, Duncan Carse, Dr. Harries, Carlton Hobbs, Chris Johnson, Timothy Eitel, Peter Johnson, Barry Johnson, and Technician, Preston Lockwood.
Tomorrow, at the same time, the Minister of Defence is urged to destroy the Starfarer before it can return to Earth.
This is BBC Radio 4 Extra.
Next on Radio 4 Extra is Matthew Paris with Great Lives.
Hello. As a child, I wrote because it was as natural to me to write as to breathe. And before I could write, I invented stories. Noted the subject of today's edition of Great Lives. But
Host Planet Earth, a serial in 6 parts by Anne Howell and Colin Cooper.
We are now taking you over to the rocket site at Stowmarket, where Audrey Russell is waiting to report the landing of the world's first interstellar spacecraft.
Good morning from Stowmarket, where the sun has broken through the early morning mist and thousands of people have gathered to witness what is indeed a most historic occasion. The return to Earth of Starfarer, the British-designed, British-built and British-manned ship which has staggered the experts of the world by penetrating farther into space than anyone has ever dreamed would be possible. Starfarer is now in orbit some 200 miles above us. Professor James Ormskirk, director of the Stellar Research Establishment and the brain behind the revolutionary shoot theory that made Starfarer possible, expects to bring the ship down in an open space very near to where we're standing. Now, if this is feasible, it will surely demonstrate the uncanny precision of the computerized controls with which Starfarer is equipped. From here, I can see a formidable row of fire engines, ambulances, mobile television cameras, and so on. I can see many well-known faces. The Secretary of State for Air, the American military attaché, the Astronomer Royal is here. There are observers from several other countries, including Soviet Russia, and the Lord Lieutenant of Suffolk. Now, we've heard and read much in the last few hours about the enormous number of new possibilities opened up by this tremendous breakthrough on the part of British science. But what does the ordinary man think of it all? How is it going to affect the man in the street? We'll now go down into the crowds to find out. Excuse me, how do you feel about trips to outer space and back? Are you in favor?
Definitely.
You think it's a good thing?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Would you travel to outer space if you were given the chance?
I'm not sure about that.
It's been suggested that Starfarer may be bringing back samples of life from other planets, including intelligent beings very similar to ourselves. Would you be prepared to welcome them?
Oh, yes, I think so.
Unconditionally?
If there's life on other planets, we must get to know about it, see what they're like. That's what I say. I mean, we don't know till we've seen them, do we?
Would you be put off if they were different? If they had tentacles instead of arms, that sort of thing?
Well, I expect we'd seem funny to them. Live and let live, that's what I say. Takes all kinds to make a universe. And speaking for myself, I would be very happy to welcome any visitors from another planet.
That's right.
What about you, madam?
I think it's wonderful.
Oh, you're from London. Have you come down specially here to see the landing?
Oh, no, we come up to see my sister. So we thought, well, while we're here, we might as well come along and have a look.
Are you proud that Britain is the first in the field?
Well, I was against it at first. You know, interfering with God's creation and all that. It didn't seem right. We got our own world to worry about, and it didn't seem right not to go messing about with other people's. But now I've been and seen for myself, I've changed my mind.
Thank you. May I have your opinion, sir?
Oh.
Are you prepared to support interplanetary relations?
Oh, certainly I am. I brought along a selection from our literature.
to present the first arrivals from another world, if we should be lucky enough to see them.
May I ask what selection you've made?
Shakespeare, Keats, John Donne, Bacon, Johnson...
Ben?
Doctor.
Oh, pretty representative selection.
I've tried to pick out the very finest flowers.
Why are you doing this?
I think it's the quickest way to let them know what sort of people we are. The key to human character is to be found in our cultural heritage.
But what if they don't speak English?
Oh, well, that will be a drawback. Of course, I think it can be overcome.
Thank you. Now, you, madam, what are your views?
Professor Ormskirk must be amply rewarded for his services. I think he should receive a peerage in the next birthday honours, even if it's only a life peerage. Well, we're always handing out honours to pop stars and sportsmen. Let's give something to the scientists for a change.
You obviously have a very high opinion of Professor Ormskirk.
I think he's a genius. And at this moment, he must certainly be the happiest man in the whole world.
Control to Starfarer. Control to Starfarer. Can you read me? Over.
Keep trying. It's all we can do.
Control to Starfarer. Control to Starfarer. Can you read me? I say again, can you read me? Over. Oh, I can't understand it, Professor. The transmitter's on, but they're not using it.
We must contact them before we fire the retro rockets.
Oh, we've got to fire those rockets whether we contact them or not.
I don't like it, Nat.
It's a risk, of course, but we've got to take it. If they're sick or unable for any other reason to use their radio, then the sooner we bring them down, the better.
Why should they be sick?
You must admit it's a possibility.
I don't admit it. They were able to bring Starfarer out of the chute and back into orbit. If they could do that, there can't be much wrong with them.
Well, the computer program...
The computer didn't allow for the extra time. They're overdue. That means one of two things. Either the computer program broke down, or they deliberately broke it. Either way, they would have to depart from the program to get back into the Earth's orbit. And that means that at least after entry, there was nothing wrong with them.
Professor?
Yes, Rathbone?
The Prime Minister's PPS wants to know the latest position.
Tell the Prime Minister's PPS to go to hell.
We shall have to say something.
Very well. Say that everything is proceeding according to plan and the ship will be brought down very shortly. And Rathbone.
Yes, Professor?
Don't waste time on the phone. Get someone else to deal with these nuisances. Your place is here in the control room with me. I need you. The retro rockets are due to be fired in less than half an hour, and we haven't established radio contact yet.
Very well, Professor.
Oh, Nat.
Professor?
Rathbone tells me you've been in touch with Claire Stewart.
Oh, Rathbone. That man's beginning to try...
Nat, hold on. I'm afraid you're losing confidence in the project, Nat.
You forced me to say this. I believe that Claire is right. I believe there are dangers in space exploration we haven't even dreamed about yet.
Stay with us, Nat. See it through. We've got to bring those two men down alive.
Yes?
Claire?
Nat, what's happening?
We can't get radio contact.
That's bad.
They're going ahead with the retros.
Can't you stop them?
I can't, Claire. It's fantastic. I can't get anybody to realize just how serious this is.
David's gone to see the Minister of Defense.
Oh, will he be able to convince him?
He's got to. Can you ring me again?
I don't know. They seem to be watching me.
Listen, Nat. We're sending a man to Stowmarket, a West Indian, Chris Johnson. You've got to contact him.
Well, that's going to be difficult.
Well, it's terribly important. He understands more than any of us.
Well, what are you going to do now?
Follow David to the Ministry of Defense. I'm taking Johnson's twin brother. If he can't make them see the danger, no one can.
Well, how?
Well, Chris will explain when he sees you.
Yeah. Oh, look, I must get back. Rathbone's suspicious.
Good luck, Nat.
And you.
Now then, sir, you can't come along here expecting to see the Minister of Defence just like that. You'll have to go through the proper channels, same as anybody else. You go and write a letter asking for an appointment. That's the way to do it.
Look, man, I've told you, I haven't got time.
Ah, well, the Minister's a very busy man, too. You can't expect him to give up his time to every private citizen who wants a word. Why, even VIPs have to make an appointment. Some very important VIPs, too.
I've got to see him now, before it's too late.
I'm sorry, sir, I can't help you.
David!
Claire! Thank God you've come. Chris catch his train?
Yes. He promised to ring as soon as he gets to Stowmarket. David, they're running excursion trains. They're treating it like some kind of entertainment. It's too horrible to think about.
Don't think about it. We've got to find a way of getting the minister to see Peter. If he can be made to understand.
I'm afraid Peter's worse. I've left him in the taxi. You'll have to help me with him, David.
All right. Commissioner, there's a sick man. Would you mind giving me a hand?
Oh, dear. Collapsed, has he? Let me help you. Easy now. Now, take it easy, old man. That's the way. I'll get a chair for you to sit on, then we'll call the Red Cross and... Here, where are you going?
Sorry, can't stop to argue.
Here, come back. You come back here.
Why can't you get him? You must find him. I cannot be kept waiting. What do you want?
To see you, Minister.
Have you an appointment?
There wasn't time to make one.
Charles, come in, will you?
You've got to listen to me, Minister.
Show this gentleman out, Charles.
The world is on the brink of a catastrophe. I have proof.
Please be quiet. The minister is on the phone.
And I'll wait till he's finished.
Now, look here. I don't care where he is or what he's doing. I want Professor Ormskirk brought to the telephone, and I want him brought quickly. That isn't a request, it's a command. Is that clear? I shall expect to hear from you within 5 minutes. Are you still here?
If that was Rathburn on the phone, you're wasting your time. He'll do everything in his power to see that that rocket lands. But you must prevent it. The safety of the world depends on it.
All right, Charles, I'll call you if I need you.
Yes, Minister.
Now, who exactly are you?
My name is Holland. I'm a reporter.
And this is a story?
Began that way, but it's a lot more now. You've got to believe me, sir. I'm pretty certain that rocket contains parasites which will spread over the face of the Earth and consume it.
Parasites?
It's their only function, their only means of staying alive. They'll gorge themselves until there's not a living creature, not a blade of grass left in the world.
Do you have any proof?
Yes, it's here in these papers. But there's no time, sir. The rocket must be destroyed before it lands. You must give the order immediately.
Destroy it?
Look, sir. These creatures are radiating a force, and it's spreading.
A force?
Well, I can only describe it as a kind of hypnosis. There's a West Indian outside. Will you see him? He's highly susceptible to this force. He seems to have some visionary powers. ESP, telepathy, call it what you like. If I can't convince you, I'm sure he can.
Very well, I'll see him. I spent half my life listening to people who think they have visionary powers. One more isn't going to hurt.
Now, fire retro rockets 1 and 3. Fire 2 and 4.
The rocket's all gone, Chief.
Good. Good.
And now the long wait.
Yes, the waiting. The worst part of all.
This is Audrey Russell from Stowmarket. News has just been received that the retro rockets have been fired successfully and Starfarer has begun the long descent to Earth. Indeed, the news is spreading out here amongst the crowds, and the excitement amongst the assembled onlookers is mounting second by second. The police are finding it difficult to control the crowds as they surge forward to the estimated point of landing, or EPL, as the technicians here call it. 1 or 2 arrests, I'm afraid, have had to be made, and one policeman who tried to prevent a man from climbing over the protective wire fence was manhandled by the crowd. He was bruised and shaken and unfortunately had to be taken to hospital. Meanwhile, speculation has been growing about the 2 astronauts. People have been asking, why has no official statement been released? Radio contact has been possible for several hours. Why haven't we been told how they are? Has anything gone wrong? Well, we don't know. We can only wait until Professor Ormskirk and his team of scientists choose to release the information the whole world is waiting to hear. Surely, it can't be long now.
Got to try.
I can't take a sick man as proof.
He has moments of coherence when he can communicate this vision, when he can make you see.
Mr. Holland, you can't expect a minister of the Crown to take action on the strength of a vision.
I have a theory to back up the vision, and some evidence to back up the theory.
Yes, the dominant twin theory, I think you said?
Yes. Briefly, it means that the only people with any chance of resisting this force are the dominant members of pairs of twins. And resistance seems to have something to do with being left-handed as well. The picture's not very clear.
You're asking me to believe a lot, Mr. Holland.
It's It's the only explanation that fits the known facts. Planets do become barren. Worlds do die. And it's going to be our turn next.
You mustn't think me unsympathetic. I assure you I'll keep a very close watch on the situation at Stowmarket. If there are any unexpected developments when the spacecraft lands, you may rely on us to take appropriate action.
But it may be too late then. Starfarer must be destroyed now.
Mr. Holland, you must realize what an impossible demand you are making. However, I will alert military and Air Force units in the vicinity.
But don't you see what...
I repeat, I am prepared to take action. But not until we have a chance of seeing and recognizing our enemies for what they are. It is still possible that these visitors, if indeed they exist, will turn out to be friendly. Are you willing to take the responsibility of ordering their extermination before we have even seen them? Not to mention the unfortunate astronauts. I'm not, Mr. Holland. Such an action on the part of Her Majesty's government would be quite unacceptable in the eyes of the civilized world. But I'm afraid that's all the time I can give you. Thank you for coming to see me.
It's landed. The spacecraft has landed. It's lying in an open space only a short distance away, a marvelous piece of work on the part of the scientists. And everyone is making their way to this beautiful, gleaming, cylindrical object lying so serenely on the green grass of Suffolk. It's hard to realize that it's traveled many millions of miles through space. The crowd is moving forward, getting in the way of the ambulances and the firefighting appliances. They will not now be needed, it seems, a fact for which we are all profoundly grateful. I can see the director of the project, the distinguished physicist, Professor Ormskirk, his white hair blowing untidily in the breeze as he's jolted across the field in an open Land Rover. This must be a great moment for him. The enthusiasm of the crowd is absolutely tremendous. This is the cup final, the coronation, the last night of the proms, all rolled into one vast spasm of excitement. This is the kind of welcome that's usually reserved for screen actresses and pop stars. But the two astronauts, they're playing it very, very cool. Not a sign of them yet. Obviously, they're delaying their appearance until the very last possible moment. But it can't be long now. In a very few moments, I feel, the hatches will open, and then the celebrations will really begin.
Rathbone, keep those damn people away.
Stand back, please. Stand back. Inspector, can't you control them better than this?
We hadn't expected so many. I've sent for mounted reinforcements.
I hope they get here soon.
Get those hatches open, will you? Hurry, man, hurry.
We're doing our best, Professor.
They should have opened it from the inside.
I know that, you fool. Where's that ambulance?
Standing by, sir.
Oh, to God, it won't be needed.
Yeah, it's open.
I'm going in alone. Keep those photographers away. This is the peep show.
The hatch is now open, and Professor Ormskirk has gone in alone. But there's still no sign of the two astronauts. The crowd waiting is very quiet now, rather tense, expectant. Professor Ormskirk has just come out again. He's signaling. He's signaling to the waiting ambulance men. I'm afraid something has gone very wrong. Now 2 stretchers are being taken to the spacecraft. What can have happened? We shall soon know.
I'm afraid they...
What is it, sir?
As far as I can see, they're dead. Both dead.
Dead? But
I
what
don't know, Nat. I don't know.
Here they come. Oh, my God.
Get them to the medical center, quickly.
I must go in.
Not yet.
The instruments.
No, Rathbone. Nat, close the hatch. Lock it. Inspector?
Yes, sir?
I want as many men as you can spare put on constant guard. No one is to approach the ship. No one. Is that clear?
I'm a bit short of men, sir.
And if they have any difficulty, they will be reinforced by our own security guards. Though I need hardly remind you that my men still have their normal duties to perform.
I'll see to it, sir. Oh, listen to them, Professor.
Huh? What?
They're cheering.
Idiots. Don't they realize...
I can't stand it. You fools! Can't you see? They're dead!
They're dead!
Come along, Nat. Come along, you two, Rathbone. Driver. Sir. The medical center, and hurry.
Right, sir. I've seen some pretty unpleasant things, but this...
Then they are dead, Doctor.
Huh? Not beyond any question. I've got the helmets off. Look.
They're unrecognizable. What could have happened?
We'll know more about that when we've cut these spacesuits off them. Scissors, please, nurse. No, not those. The heavy ones.
Lock the doors, Rathbone.
Lock the doors?
You heard me.
You think you can halt progress by locking the doors?
What are you talking about, man? What has this got to do with progress?
Throughout history, the advance of intelligence has been checked by locked doors. But all that is changing now. We are going to throw the doors wide open. All the doors. Whose side are you going to be on, Professor Ormskirk? You must make up your mind, you know, quickly.
Get out, Rathbone. I'll speak to you later.
But, Professor, you must listen to me now.
Nat, get him out of here.
Yes. Now, don't interfere,
Lock the door.
Mr. Blakely. I'm warning you.
See, they're locked and that they stay locked. Now then, Doctor.
If I cut just along here, then we should be able to... What on earth?
Well, Doctor?
Inside the suit. Look. Oh, my God. I've never seen... Never.
Kill it, Doctor. For God's sake, kill it.
Kill it?
The scissors, man, the scissors.
I can't.
What do you mean you can't? Look, there are more of them coming out.
But, man, I can't do it, I tell you. I can't.
Oh, give me the scissors. I'll soon settle this. They're on my wrist. Get them off. Get them off.
I can't.
Doctor, help me. I can't get them off.
I cannot help you.
Get out of my way. Give me the scissors.
Kill them. Kill them.
Too late.
We must not kill. We must offer hospitality and friendship. We are the hosts now.
Charles, I must get hold of Ormskirk. I'll keep trying, Minister, but no one up there seems capable of giving us a coherent report. So I'd better go and see for myself. Get a helicopter laid on, will you? Or in this fellow Holland. I want another word with him. Very good, Minister. Defence here, sir. This rocket business, I can't get a coherent report. I'm going up to see for myself. Yes, the chiefs of staff have been alerted, just in case. I quite agree, it's too fantastic. The situation may lead to something serious, and we must be prepared. No, I can't tell you any more, sir. That's why I'm going personally to... just one moment, Prime Minister. Well?
The car's waiting to take you to Battersea.
Where's that reporter?
Holland?
Pians being difficult.
They've gone to get him. His girlfriend's here, if that's any good.
The devil do I want with his girlfriend?
Well, she works at the rocket site. She seems to know a lot about it.
All right, bring her in. Hurry it up, please.
Right.
Sorry, Prime Minister. There's a person here who seems to know something. Yes, she's just coming in. I'll ask her.
Will you come in, please?
Young woman, I have the Prime Minister on the phone. If you know anything at all about the situation at Stowmarket, tell me at once.
We know that the 2 pilots are dead. Some living creatures were in the spaceship. There are some casualties.
In heaven's name, what are these creatures?
We don't know much about them yet. They're hairless, legless, and slimy. If you can imagine something about 5 times the size of an ordinary leech.
Leech? I've never seen a leech in my life.
And they kill.
Well, sir, there's no doubt the ship seems to have brought back some highly dangerous creatures. Yes, I think we'd better wait until I've seen them for myself. I'll report to you as soon as I get there. Goodbye, sir. I don't understand. Surely the police and the security guards between them can handle a few legless, hairless, leech-like, whatever they are.
The force is too strong. It's some sort of hypnotic power.
Hypnosis? How do we fight that?
How about the Department of Psychological Warfare?
At any other time, that would have sounded funny. All right, get through to them. Ah, Mr. Holland.
I came as quickly as I could.
What news?
Well, first of all, I better describe these creatures.
I've done that, David.
Well, then, they've multiplied fast. Unbelievably fast. They've occupied the whole of the medical center. Oh. Luckily, someone had the foresight to lock the doors, and it seems they aren't very good at opening doors. But it's only a matter of time before they get out.
Casualties?
No figures. Nearly all the medical staff.
Dead?
Yes. Several of the technical staff, including the chief engineer.
Nat?
Yes, Nat Blakey.
Oh, no.
Is Professor Ormskirk still in charge?
I assume so. I haven't been able to get any news of him.
Yes. You say these things are multiplying at a very fast rate?
A fantastic rate. They can fill a small room in half an hour.
Well, I can have an aircraft equipped with an air-to-ground missile over Stowmarket within 10 minutes.
No, it's useless. The pilots will be overcome by the hypnotic influence, just as the pilots of the spacecraft were.
Yes.
How soon could you get some nerve gas to the area?
Well, there's a small supply at Colchester, but how do we put it into operation? Helicopters are out for the reasons you've already mentioned. And if what you say is true, there seems every likelihood that land forces will be subject to the same hypnotic influence.
Some people are immune. I am, I think, and so is Miss Stewart now. There are one or two others we know.
You're volunteering?
Yes.
And you, Miss Stewart, are you willing to undertake this task?
Yes, I am.
Very well. Well, if you can manage to stun the creatures first, it should be a fairly simple matter to kill them afterwards. I'm afraid you and your friend may have to do that also.
Mm-hmm. How do we get there?
I have a helicopter waiting at Battersea. My car will take you there. Pick up anyone else you think may be able to help you. At Colchester, you will be equipped with respirators and given instructions in the operation of the cylinders. It's an unusual way of doing things, but then the circumstances aren't exactly usual, are they? I'll tell the PM. Defense here, sir. The position is worse. Many casualties. As I propose to send in a group of volunteers with cylinders of nerve gas. When the creatures are paralyzed, we can decide how best to destroy them without risk to human life and undue damage to property. But, Prime Minister, the situation is serious. But, sir... I understand, Prime Minister. No action of any kind is to be taken.
But that's crazy.
Now, let me finish. No action of any kind is to be taken beyond the normal welcoming procedure applied to distinguished visitors from abroad.
Welcoming procedure?
Don't you see? The influence, he's been affected by it.
There's worse to come. The decision was taken after consultation with the palace. It is believed to be in accordance with popular opinion.
That's not surprising, when 9/10 of the population can be hypnotized by these creatures.
You've convinced me, Mr. Holland. I'm on your side.
Then we can still do something.
Yes, I must give the order myself.
It's our only chance. If we fail, it's the end of the world.
If we fail, we dare not take the risk. Get me the GOC Eastern Command, and for God's sake, hurry. This is the Minister of Defense. I...
Get the order.
I cannot do it.
Minister.
The world is welcoming these beings. It is right that we should also welcome them. There must be peace between the worlds as there must be between nations. It is stupid to resist an intelligence that is greater than our own.
No, it's a trap, don't you see?
We must take advantage of this opportunity. We must get to know our visitors. We can learn many things from them. They will show us the meaning of existence.
You fool. They've caught you. They can only show us the meaning of death. Of death!
Host Planet Earth was written by Anne Howell and Colin Cooper and produced by Nestor Payne. Electronic sound and music was created by the BBC Radiophonic Workshop.
The cast is as follows. Claire Stewart was played by Brenda Bruce. Minister of Defence, Rolf Lefevre. Professor Ormskirk, Clive Morton. David Holland, Alexander John. Rathbone, Timothy Bateson. First Woman, Beth Boyd. Nat Blackley, Nigel Anthony. Police Inspector, Preston Lockwood. Commentator, Audrey Russell. Doctor and Commissionaire, Ronald Herdman. And Second Woman, Betty Hardy.
And Host Planet Earth was first broadcast on the BBC Light programme in 1967, and the story concludes after the weekend.
I'm Toby Haydock, and I'm here to tell you about the lineup of sci-fi, fantasy and horror waiting for you this weekend in the 7th dimension, including everyone's favourite tortured scientist, Victor Frankenstein.
He then took me into his laboratory and explained the use of his various machines, instructed me as to what I should procure. He also gave me a list of books, and I took my leave. Kindly, Professor Waltham. It was a memorable day for me. It decided my future destiny.
Michael Maloney stars in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, plus pan-galactic gargle blasters, with a twist of telepathy. We are spoiling you in the 7th Dimension, this Saturday and Sunday at 6 p.m. and midnight on BBC.
Host Planet Earth, a serial in 6 parts by Anne Howell and Colin Cooper.
And here is the latest space news. The arrival of first visitors from outer space has been greeted with scenes of unprecedented enthusiasm in all parts of the world. Among the many messages of welcome is one from the President of the United States. A U.S. Navy helicopter delivered it at noon today at the Stellar Research Establishment, Stowmarket, where the visitors are being entertained by scientists before traveling to London, where they will attend an official reception at the Guildhall. In London today, a small gang of masked men broke into the premises of the Stellar Research Institute at Bloomsbury. Valuable scientific records and data were destroyed by a series of explosions. Units of the London Fire Brigade are still fighting the blaze started by the saboteurs. The director of the Institute, Professor Ormskirk, was not available for comment, but in a prepared statement from 10 Downing Street, the Prime Minister referred to the incident as an act of vandalism directed against further interplanetary communication, and said that the offenders must be brought to book and punished with the utmost severity. He went on, "In the atmosphere of friendly welcome prevailing throughout the world, it is intolerable that a tiny minority of extremists should seek to impose their will upon the huge majority of..."
I've been there. I've seen it, I tell you. They're killing people.
We know, Chris.
Crazy. Crazy! The ground is littered with bodies.
They're not all dead, though. Quite a lot are only unconscious. They just collapsed, sort of moaning, and they went quiet. I got out as quick as I could.
It was lucky for Chris you did.
All the others were walking towards Stowmarket. He was the only one walking away. The only one, so I stopped.
David.
Claire, I want you to meet Don Wells, ex-commando, explosive expert, and chief participant in the recent highly successful demolition job.
Oh, pleased to meet you.
We've just heard about it. It was on the space bulletin.
They didn't say it was highly successful.
You can take it from me, it was, thanks to Don.
Tricky job it was. Had to use short fuses. We was lucky to get out in time.
What did they say on the radio?
Something about valuable records and data being destroyed.
It's an understatement. Every drawing, every photograph, and every scrap of paper that could help them to build another rocket is gone. And every piece of equipment damaged beyond hope of repair.
Yeah, you wouldn't recognize the old place.
The professor's life work.
I know. We can't be sentimental. We had to do it. Or there'd be more rockets going out, bringing back these hideous creatures.
Well, there's still the equipment at Stowmarket.
That brings us to our next operation.
Yeah, it sounds a bit of a tall order, that one.
I know, Don. But there's no alternative. Not only the aliens themselves, but the equipment, the whole installation. If we don't, they'll never let us off the hook. They'll hang on to us like...
Say it, man. Like leeches.
Like leeches. They can make their influence felt over hundreds of light years. Well, there's a possibility that we can send spaceships to pick them up. They'll never leave us alone. We've got to destroy that possibility, once and for all.
Once and for all?
I know. It's only a matter of time before somebody or other finds the secret once again. But we've got to have breathing space. Time to find a way of counteracting this hypnotic force.
How much breathing space?
You said that Professor Ormskirk's the only man alive who has a complete understanding of this theory?
Yes, at present.
Well, okay, it's taken him 40 years to get where he is now.
It's very unlikely, but there could be someone else somewhere, someone who's near a breakthrough.
We mustn't think about that. We've got to take this immediate action. It may only have a short-term effect. It may not have any effect at all, but we've got to go ahead and do it because there's nothing else we can do.
Chris says things are much worse at Stowmarket.
He never saw such a sight.
And yet there's still this crazy enthusiasm.
Yes, that's what got me. All those people unconscious or dead, and the rest of them still cheering and singing as if they hadn't noticed.
They hadn't noticed. That's what mass hypnosis means.
They couldn't hypnotize me.
Oh, David, this is Ian. He gave me a lift from Stowmarket in his truck. Guess that puts him in our group.
Was I glad to see him. I was beginning to think I was the only man left alive who hadn't gone off his nut.
You're very welcome, Ian. We can use a lorry. How's the fuel situation, Claire?
Running low, but we've got enough till we get to Stowmarket.
But you're not coming.
You try and stop me.
I'd rather you didn't come. We may need someone in London.
You'll want all the help that you can get up there.
I reckon we should stick together.
Chris is right.
Don't you see, well, I'd just rather you didn't come, that's all.
Don,
Yeah?
how are you going to destroy the equipment at Stowmarket?
Well, the same way as we did it in Bloomsbury. Plant the HE, set the fuses, then bang.
Have you got enough HE?
There's about 200 pounds of gelignite.
You'll need a lot more than that.
We'll find some when we get there. There's plenty of it around if you know where to look.
It'll take time. You'll have to break into a blasting quarry or an army ordnance depot. Is that what you did last time?
Well, I didn't buy it at the supermarket.
Wait, I've got a better idea. A fuel.
A fuel?
Rocket fuel at Stowmarket. How many million gallons was it, Claire?
About 2 million. It's stored in the form of a gas.
And highly explosive?
Very highly. If that lot goes up, there won't be much left of the base.
How can we get at it?
I don't think you can. It's in sealed underground tanks. You'd have to get through several feet of reinforced concrete before you could set your fuses.
I can do it.
Quickly?
No, that's the trouble. If only we had more time.
There is a way. A certain way, but it's rather dangerous.
Well, it's going to be that anyway.
Go on, Claire.
We can increase the pressure from the fuel laboratory. Under pressure, the temperature rises. When it reaches a flash point, there's an explosion. It's quite simple, really.
Simple? It's marvellous. Oh, you'll have to take her, Dave.
No. She can tell us how to do it.
Will you stop trying to save my skin?
Claire, it's not that. Well, partly, but... Remember, the force nearly got you once. You seem to be more susceptible.
But I felt nothing since that time, and... Anyway, I don't think anyone else could do it.
Well... Okay, you win.
What about the rocket itself?
It's too far away from the base to be destroyed by the explosion. You'll have to deal with it by more conventional methods.
Well, my 200 pounds of jelly?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just up my street. When do we leave, Dave?
Not before dark. It's not safe to show ourselves.
Well, that gives us time to go into the details.
That's bigger for myself. What I'd like to go into just at this moment is a nice plateful of bacon and eggs.
Move over, Don.
That's a pleasure.
Claire, for the last time...
Sorry, David. I'm coming.
You sure Don and I can't do it?
I'm not even sure that I can do it, but I stand a better chance than anyone else here.
She's right, you know. She knows. Why are you being so obstructive, Dave? This girl's got brains.
All right. Get in. I know when I'm beaten.
Okay at the back there?
Yeah, take it away.
Okay, Skipper.
Carry on. Look out for bumps.
It won't be too bad in the back with that mattress and the empty sacks we found in the warehouse.
I wasn't thinking of Peter and Chris. I was worrying about Don's 200 pounds of conventional high explosive.
That'll be safe enough.
Well, just bear it in mind, Ian.
Don't worry. I used to carry eggs to market. Never broke one. This is it, the Stellar Research Establishment.
Listen. What are they shouting?
Sounds like welcome to our friends.
Yeah, well, one thing's for sure, they don't mean us.
Will the guards let us in?
It's unlikely.
I have to get in somehow. This is what we're going to do. Claire and I'll get out here. Ian will drive the lorry over to the rocket.
It's over there, look. They've got a floodlight on it.
I'll have to put that out. Don and Chris will help you unload the explosive. Chris will then take Peter to somewhere that's going to be safe from both explosions.
The radar tower, over there.
Anyone in it?
I can't see any lights, so I suppose they're all celebrating, if that's what you can call it.
It's inside the perimeter fence.
Yes, but it's a long way away from the fuel tanks. It ought to be safe. I can't think of anywhere else.
We'll have to risk it.
When can we start on the rocket?
As soon as possible. Don't waste time. Get it done, then make for the radar tower.
They had guards round the rocket.
There aren't any there now.
Yes, there are. I can see them lying around.
Unconscious or dead?
Well, look, if we've got to drag them clear, that's going to take longer.
Well, we can't leave them there.
No, we'll need help.
Don't bother about me, David. I'll go on alone.
How will you get in?
I'll get past the guards somehow.
Sure you'll be all right.
I think so, if I can get into the fuel lab. I was wondering if Professor Ormskirk was still...
Remember, don't trust anybody. We're on our own. Do what you can, and I'll come along as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we can cut an hole in the wire.
Or drive the lorry through. This old crate weighs 5 tons unladen. She'll go through that wire like a hot knife through butter.
Come soon.
Good luck.
She's got guts, that girl.
Listen to those people trying to get inside, and all the time those creatures are inside trying to get out.
Yeah. I wonder where they are now.
Still in the medical center.
You sure of that?
Peter told me.
Yeah.
Listen, man. Peter knows more about this than all of us put together. He told me about this whole danger right from the beginning. And if it wasn't for him, not one of us here would stand an ice cream's chance in hell. And don't you forget that.
Oh, look, come on, let's get across to the rocket.
She's nearly reached the gate.
Yes, but we've got work
Wait,
to do.
can't you?
Look, Dave, you've got to trust her. And we haven't got much time.
Sorry. Start her up, Ian. Let's get going.
Welcome to our friends.
Will you let me in, please? Here's my pass.
You heard what I said. Welcome to our friends.
Don't you recognize me?
I recognize you, Miss Stewart, but things have changed around here. Either you're for them or you're against them. If you're against them, you can't come in. Those are my orders.
Orders? Who gave you those orders? Who gave them to you?
My orders are clear.
Oh, nonsense. Open the gate and let me in.
Why should he let you in? He won't let us in.
That's right, he won't let us in.
I work here. I have a right to go in.
Ah, she works there.
Oh, you work there, do you? Welcome to our friends, then.
Welcome to our friends.
Welcome to our friends.
Welcome to our friends, Miss Stewart.
Welcome to our friends.
Welcome to our friends.
Welcome. Welcome. Welcome to our friends. Locked. Key. Master key. Behind that door. Oh, welcome. Welcome. My friend. Oh, my friend.
Get away from that door. Did you hear me? Get away from that door. If you don't, I shall be compelled to shoot you. I won't say it a third time.
Professor Ormskirk, Dr. Rathbone, what?
Yes, he was going to let them out. I had to shoot him. Oh, I've been blind, Claire. From the very beginning, Rathbone was on their side, and I didn't see it.
I know, but he couldn't help himself.
No, it wasn't his fault. And it's not your fault either. All the same, you were going to let them out too, weren't you, Claire? You're a dangerous person, my dear.
It's too horrible to think about.
Come over here, Claire. Look through the glass partition in there. Look at it.
I feel sick.
They killed Blakey. Nat Blakey. They've killed the doctor and most of his staff. There were only a few of them then. Now there are thousands. You can see the medical room is full of them. And they're still reproducing. In a short time, this building won't contain them. I don't know what to do. I decided to stay here to keep people away. People like Rathbone and you. They'll be pointless very soon. They're eating their way out. And when they get out, they'll spread over the whole earth. They'll kill every living thing. What they can't hypnotize, they'll overcome through sheer force of numbers. There's no hope for any of us, Claire. No hope.
Claire! Claire! In here, David.
Get back. I won't hesitate to shoot.
Claire! What's this? It's all right, David. He's not affected. I was so wrong to think that he could ever...
What's this? I thought you were under this damnable influence.
I was, for a moment. But I can shake it off if I have help. It's all right when David's here.
Huh? Then you better stay until we can find some way of destroying these creatures.
We have a plan.
Seen what you're up against? Take a look.
Good God.
The medical room won't hold them for much longer. If you look closely, you'll see that they're already eating their way through the door.
But it's metal.
That, no doubt, is why it is taking them so long.
When they've got through that, there's only the outer door to stop them.
There's also the danger that some of the crowd will break in and help them. There seems to be no limit to what people will do under this influence. What is your plan?
Part of it's already succeeded. Destroyed the technical data at Bloomsbury, together with the instruments and other equipment.
Go on, please.
2 men are at this moment preparing to blow up Starfarer. At the same time, Claire and I are going to ignite the rocket fuel, which she tells me is stored in underground tanks.
Is this your idea, Claire?
David, but I agree. It'll blow the whole site to pieces, practically.
It will. Let me get this clear, Mr. Holland. You're hoping that when there is no longer any possibility of sending out further rockets, the aliens will withdraw their influence.
Yes. At the same time, of course, we kill all the alien creatures that have already arrived.
I'm sorry, Professor. I know it means your life's
Please,
work.
Claire. give me credit for a little understanding. Now, I've been a vain and selfish man in many ways. You see what my folly has led to. But now there's no question of preserving the equipment and the data. Everything must be destroyed. Everything. I'll do what I can to help you.
Thank you.
In fact, you better let me carry out the whole operation.
I can manage it.
Can you? I doubt it. You'll have to remain in the fuel lab until the critical temperature has been reached. Then, and only then, can you lock the controls and run for your life. By that time, it may be too late. On the other hand, if you lock the controls and leave too early, the explosion will never take place.
If it's got to be done, I'll do it.
I don't question your determination. What I do question is your technical knowledge. Not really your department, is it, Claire? You've never worked in the fuel lab? What, for instance, is the critical temperature?
Well, anyway, the automatic alarm will come into operation.
My dear girl, the automatic alarm operates before the critical temperature is reached. No, I think you'll have to let me do it.
But...
Not another word. I am still in command, and that is an order, Claire. You and Mr. Holland will stay here until the alarm system goes off, in case any person is deluded enough to try to release these monstrous creatures. Take this pistol, Holland.
Very well. But I'm the one who's going to the fuel lab, and I'm going alone.
I do not care for these heroics.
You must take Claire to the radar tower.
Look! They're breaking through.
Quick! Out the door.
Not going to hold them.
We must get to the fuel lab at once. Follow me.
Got 'em all clear now. Ooh. How's it going?
Won't be long. Here, let's have those pliers, man.
Are these?
Yeah. Dave get through okay?
Yeah. He and the two coloured boys. They made it to the radar tower. He went off to find the girl.
Well, worried about her, wasn't he?
Oh, it's her being one of the weaker ones. You know, she can still be got at if the force is powerful enough.
Well, so could anyone, I reckon. We're just lucky, that's all. Here, hold that one.
This one?
Yeah.
Where'd you learn all this stuff?
Wartime. Commando unit. I was in a Dieppe landing. Ooh, right shambles that was. Makes us look like a Sunday school treat.
Don't you kid yourself. The fate of the world hangs in the balance.
Yeah? They said that the last time, didn't they?
You believe in it, don't you? You wouldn't be doing it if you didn't believe in it.
Oh, I suppose not.
Listen to them. Welcome to our friends. Some friends. You ever see one of them old films, Don?
What films?
The Nuremberg rallies and that. Old Hitler and the crowd chanting, Sieg Heil, Sieg Heil. That's what this lot reminds me of. A bunch of sheep.
That's not their fault, is it?
I don't know. Isn't it? Whose fault is it? I'd like to know.
Oh, ready now.
Gonna light the fuse?
No. Now, look. I'm using an ordinary number 36 Mills grenade as a detonator.
Yeah.
Now, I pull the pin out. We both run like hell.
Right.
It's only got a 7-second fuse, so I ain't got much time. You ever run 100 yards in 7 seconds?
Not me.
No, well, you will this time. Now, I'll tell you when to start counting. When you've reached 6.5, throw yourself flat on the ground and start praying, right?
Right.
Right, here we go then.
Well, what are you waiting for?
I can't do it.
What do you mean you can't do it?
I don't know, my hands have got numb. Welcome to our friends. Sieg Heil!
Don!
Pull it out, Ian! Pull out the pin!
But I
can't move, I tell you. You want to save the world? Now's your chance, so pull it out! Pull it!
I'll do it, Don. I'll do it. Then we'll run like hell, Don. Like Olympic sprinters. Don, it's out. I've done it. We've got to run, Don. Come on, come on.
Welcome.
7 seconds, Don. 7 seconds. Come on, get moving. Come on.
David, I hope they got clear.
Don's no fool. Unless... How long now?
Hard to say. I've never done this before.
You don't still feel...
Oh, no. At least I don't think so. If anything should happen, if I collapse, something like that, you know enough to go on.
I think so.
You won't have time to drag me clear, you know that.
Listen, nothing's going to happen. You've seen these things. You've seen what they are. Crawling, squirming, slimy creatures. Can destroy a whole world as surely as they can destroy a steel door. They can destroy you, too. But you don't have to let them take possession of your mind. Not if you don't want them to.
It's easy to talk. It happens before you know about it.
It's not going to happen while I'm here.
bottle too far. Instead of gas, you get freezing carbon dioxide smell, right?
Yes, but it's so cold that it burns you.
If we can blast a path through them, we've got a chance.
David! I'm afraid.
Come on!
Hurry! They're going to get me, hurry! David!
Keep going! Keep going!
Man, am I glad to see you. The way you cut through those...
Get that door shut. My arm. Phew. All right, Claire.
Yes.
You've done it, man. You've done it.
None of them got out. I made sure of that. Where are Ian and Don?
They never came. They were still there.
At the rocket?
I guess so.
Where's the professor?
He's around. Wanted to be on his own. He looked kind of lost.
He must have gone up to the top. I'd better go and look for him.
Peter's still the same.
Still the same?
No change.
David, please come up with me.
But, Peter... It's all right. Let's find Ormskirk.
This is the top floor.
There he is.
Professor?
Now, Claire, thank God you got away in time. You did well, both of you. We are all in your debt. The whole world, I think.
I'm sorry it had to come to this, for you.
You did the only thing possible in the circumstances. Your reasoning was very sound, very logical. Unfortunately, you didn't go quite far enough.
What do you mean?
Open that window, Claire. Thank you. Listen to them. Listen carefully.
They're still chanting.
Welcome to our friends. I believe that is what they're saying, isn't it?
So they're still...
They are still in the grip of the Force. Hundreds of light years away, these creatures are still trying to subjugate our world.
But why? Why? We couldn't bring them here now, even if we wanted to. They must know that.
Unfortunately, it's only too clear to them. It is because there's still hope for them that they're continuing to exert their influence.
I don't understand.
I do.
You are very perceptive, Mr. Holland. May I trouble you for the return of my pistol? Thank you.
No.
You see, Claire, they have made me their ally. When I escaped from the medical center, I thought it was a miracle. It was nothing of the sort. The rocket installations have been destroyed, but the knowledge remains in my brain. Another Starfarer can be built.
But you'd never be persuaded to build it.
Can I be sure of that?
But other scientists are working along the same lines. It's only a matter of time before the knowledge becomes common property.
Time is precisely what I'm hoping to gain. There may be enough time to find an antidote, an effective line of resistance. I can only hope so.
You don't even know whether they'll withdraw the influence.
They are not capable of conscious choice. I attract it as long as I'm alive. So you see, there is only one logical course of action open to me. In any case, my work is finished.
It might work. You can see the reasoning behind it.
We should have stopped
He
here.
made the decision.
Yes, but...
Whose side are you on, Claire?
That wasn't fair.
They've stopped chanting. Look. They're turning away. The crowd's breaking up. It's incredible. But I believe it's worked.
David, Claire, glad you could come.
Peter!
No, Chris. Peter's over there.
Doesn't he look fine? And there's Harry Benson, too. It's wonderful to see him looking so well again. I must go and speak to him, David.
Don't be too long.
What will you do? Come over and break it up?
I shall do just that.
Hey, You know, we just had a complaint from the woman next door.
A complaint?
Yeah. She's been complaining about an alien invasion. That's what she calls it.
What did she mean by that?
She just don't appreciate good music, man. I guess that's what she means. Hey, come on inside.
I would like to know why they're blaming the doctor so well. One class of people fussing, while the other class cussing, running them out like the big brook glass.
Host Planet Earth was written by Anne Howell and Colin Cooper and produced by Nestor Payne. Electronic sound and music was created by the BBC Radiophonic Workshop.
The cast is as follows. Announcer, Rolf Lefevre. Chris Johnson, Tommy Eichel. Claire Stewart, Brenda Bruce. David Holland, Alexander John. Ian, Preston Lockwood. Don Wells, Nigel Anthony. Guard, Humphrey Morton. Woman, Beth Boyd. And Professor Ormskirk, Clive Morton.
Tomorrow, we head to a world where cloning has become a form of medical insurance in a bleak science fiction vision of the future. Jefferson 37, at this time tomorrow.
Desert Island Discs Revisited on BBC Radio 4 Extra.
Jack Vitriano, you say nobody believed in you and your father thought it was all a nonsense, but did you ever feel during that period of time that you had a kind of vocation? Or was that too big a word for what you might have felt?
Well, I wouldn't have understood that word, Sue, then, but no, I felt I had something, if only just a tiny sort of feeling, if you like. And I was able to get things down on these boards that surprised me and gave me enough confidence to keep on going. It wasn't like, the Boys' Brigade, where you go for 6 weeks and then say, oh, Christ, I hate that uniform,
So you saw something in yourself?
I did.
You certainly had enough confidence to start. You chucked in the mining engineering, you did a variety of other jobs. If we sort of spool on to when you were about 24, you went on what you now call your grand tour.
Well, it wasn't hellishly grand, but the girl who bought me the watercolours, she had also said to me, if you don't get some qualification, you're going to live and die in this town. And, I did